Good evening. Welcome to August 16 Planning Board meeting. All members present, Mark is on his way. I call the meeting to order. Any citizens' comments? Sam, you are here?
Okay.
You are here, right? You have any comments?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's take the review and, where is the minutes? Review and approve the draft of July 12, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
You have a motion?
Second the motion.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
This is for minutes.
For the minutes.
Okay. July 12, 2023, public hearing meeting minutes for Century Drive. Is there a motion?
Second that motion.
We need a motion first.
Motion first.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. 6:05.
No, I didn't know.
No citizens' comments. We have to wait for another. Yeah, at 6:05. Public hearing, continued public hearing on Century Drive, site plan review, special permit and stormwater management permit application submitted by Birdland Hill LLC for the proposed construction of 9 industrial buildings on Lot 4 lots on Century Drive, West Boylston, Mass. Go ahead.
Thank you for the record, John Grenier.
Very good.
This thing live?
Yeah, you should be.
Give it a shout out.
Continued public hearing.
For the record, John Grenier, J.M. Grenier Associates. I'm here with Gary DeWolf and Jimmy Ricciardi, who are the owners and applicants for this project. As you stated, what we are proposing, it's the final development of the last land on Century Drive. In order to do that, Mr. Ricciardi, they are upgrading or completing the construction of the frontage along the backside of Century Drive. They're wrapping that right up. They're bringing that, you have it paved yet?
It's paved, yeah.
It's paved.
It's covered all with grade.
So that construction is moving along nicely, they're in good shape. And what we are proposing would be the probably maximum development. What we're proposing to do is to turn this final acreage into 4 lots there. Lot 1, that would consist of potentially 3 buildings. Lot 2, which is would be closer to the frontage on Century Drive with 1 building on it. Lot 3, again, close to Century Drive with 1 building on it. And then Lot 4, which would consist of another 3 commercial buildings. So they will be developing this, either selling off lots. I know they've had some interest in some of the frontage lots along Century Drive. And then I know that Mr. Ricciardi was looking at developing Lot 1 for his business. He might take this, this location right here. And I know that Mr. DeWolf was looking at developing, moving his business into town and moving into either this building or maybe down the road, moving to the back lot over here. So, and the reason that we did it this way was all of the runoff from this site, everything runs in a westerly direction towards Century Drive. There's a pretty big cut. There is an off-site detention basin that takes runoff from Century Drive and other sites, including FedEx. So for instance, and we've had this discussion internally, to say, oh, okay, we're gonna subdivide it into 4 lots, and we're gonna do a site plan for Lot 3 right now. Well, we would have to do improvements to the detention basin for lot 3. And then, okay, well, now we're gonna do lot 4. Well, now you have to do additional improvements to the detention basin to take. So what we did was, knowing that all of the property is going to be having runoff and going into the detention basin, we looked at what's the overall, and if we came in piecemeal, you'd say, well, okay, what are you doing with the rest of the property? What are you doing with the rest of the property? We looked at saying, okay, this would be the maximum development based on the grades. We know that we can do the improvements to the detention basin once. And then whatever, how this pans out, whether everything goes at once, which I'm sure it's not, but if you do one lot at a time, you know that the improvements to the detention basin will be able to handle all of the development on the site. So that was our methodology. We have had, obviously, comments from VHB regarding, technical issues, where we did a mounding analysis on the detention basin. We actually had a very productive conference call with Wayne and our team, and as well as some of the other engineers of VHB. And we kind of ran through how we were going to be addressing some of their comments. And we did supply, we got comments from VHB. We did supply answers to all of those. For the most part, it was, I'd say, I-dotting, T-crossing, some technical things. One item was making sure that if the site distance coming out of the driveway of lot 2, because you have the bend there, and we said, yeah, there is a little bit of tree trimming. There's some branches along this sight line that need to be trimmed. That's not an issue. That can be a condition of approval. There was one technical item about the mounding on the, for the detention basin. We ended up using a little more conservative number, and it really had no change on the basin. A couple, modified an outlet location or an elevation, tweaked it a little bit, raised up the bottom a little bit. So more technical items, but we are in agreement with everything that VHB had for comments, and we did supply updated plans and a response letter, and we believe that we addressed everything that they were looking for. So, and I know Wayne is here now, so he can probably speak to that as well. The other item that, again, back to the approvals for this, and we talked about this in our conference call with Wayne as well, and with our attorney. One thing that we would like to see is in the decision that as either each lot or each building gets developed, we can get a sign-off for an occupancy, as long as each lot or as each building has everything that it needs: parking, loading, dumpster, drainage, utilities, for that individual lot or individual building. Because there's no way that, say, for instance, lot 1, there's 3 buildings on there. I would assume that Jimmy would build, there's less site work, you're gonna be cutting into this hill. He's gonna have to, it's gonna take time, he's gonna be picking away at developing these pads. He could get this building completed and have all the infrastructure, the parking, utilities, everything all set for this. But it may be a few years before he gets into having the pad set for the back building. So he would, as long as everything is set for this building, he'd like to have the ability to get an occupancy for this building, knowing that everything is in place for this building, and then you can get an occupancy for this. When this part of the site is done, you can get an occupancy for that, and so on. So you don't have to have the entire site done and every building built before you get an occupancy, because just the site conditions and the way that they're going to be either developing buildings or leasing out buildings, it's going to take a number of years to get that done. So I wanted to throw that out there for the board to consider. Again, I think we took care of all the.
On that,
I'm
just
sorry,
to
go ahead.
jump in on that, can you provide some wording on what you're looking for? Because I'm not sure how to word that.
Okay.
We usually
Can we do that?
require, I don't think so, but if you can provide us some wording, that's something to consider.
Okay. All right,
I
so,
mean, we talked about this before, I thought it was gonna be more of a phased, well, we could call it phases.
Right.
We
So you
need
can say phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, or however you wanna call
Right.
them.
okay,
You know, just so that we can do that, you know, just.
We need
we
some
can-
mechanism, yes,
okay.
And I don't, can you do phases out of order? I mean,
yes.
you
Yeah,
could just say phase five is done, whichever building that is.
right,
Phase six, phase seven.
okay,
You know, just so that we can make the approval for a multi-phase
understood,
project.
right. And that wouldn't necessarily, that wouldn't apply for, say, lot 2 or lot 3, because there's one building on and one site. But,
Except there's one application. So if you can make it all phased out, then we can approve the one application.
right. And the other thing that we had talked about with Wayne and his team was, one condition would be, before any development starts, we have to provide an A&R plan that's gonna be, which, we're proposing lot lines, obviously, to chop these out. Let me go back to this. So we would provide an A&R plan, chopping out lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, lot 4. So.
Sure.
But that doesn't necessarily speak to if Jimmy builds this building first and it's ready for occupancy, but those aren't done yet, well, we'd have, obviously, this is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 for lot
We need
1.
the ability to occupy the building.
For
No, I know,
occupancy.
I'm just trying to figure, it was, when you came in, it's one application, so we have to sort of make it work, so we can
Right.
approve it all, we can do right now, approve it all at once.
Right.
For what you're trying to do, and the only thing I can imagine is it would be phases.
Yeah, that sounds like the way to go, but I want to see how you want to propose it, because we always require an as-built plan.
Right.
So everything around that
And that's
building, all the trees, all the stuff had to be planted, finished pavement, everything has to be in place with an as-built plan certifying that all the work was done
Right.
in
And
accordance.
I
with
would
the design.
equate that to, say if you're doing a condo development, and you have a condo development with all units, obviously as your build, unit 1, people get their occupancy, they're in that, and then at the end, when the whole development is done, you do an as-built for the whole development for, the interior roadways, the drainage, all that stuff. So I would kind of equate it to that, where you're getting occupancies as you go, and making sure that everything is set for whether it's that townhouse or whether it's that building, we can do, but to your point, we can do it in a phase, we can do a phasing plan.
Yeah, but we had the issue of issuing one unit.
No, so I mean, like, we could say we're not gonna issue the last 3, I don't know, or 2 occupancies until the
Until-
final
until we
as-built
get
is
the
done.
as-built.
So, I mean, phasing would be better, because then you can do it at your.
Right,
order.
right, okay. So I just was trying to equate it to that, but yeah, we can do a phasing where, okay, here's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, and
Yeah,
it may
7
be-
and 8, and then you just have it all
7 and 8.
broken out, you can do whatever you wanna do first.
Perfect, okay,
So you-
that's easily done.
Even on the back side, you are going to build one and then you come in for an occupancy permit?
Yes, yes. Because
How that
they're not
works?
gonna build all the buildings at the same time. They might build this building and while they're, and then
That's
they
what I
can
wanna
work
see
at the
it.
site work.
It does.
Cutting into the back, and then they'll get a tenant for, someone who's interested in whatever, half the building, or they may build it on spec, but they're not gonna build everything at the same time and have everything done, because one,
Financially, it's not feasible.
financially it's not feasible.
Totally
But
agree,
you're not
but
gonna not grade that whole back, waiting, like, you're not gonna build your whole building in front and put in a pavement, a driveway, and not have moved all that earth around that you want to, because you're gonna ruin all your front stuff.
Well, we're gonna continue to cut into the hill. So we'd like to get in there, occupy the first building.
Yeah.
And then work our way into that hill, because it's gonna take a long time to get that material up.
Right, but I just didn't think you'd wanna do half of it, or whatever.
Well, you may
and
do
have
the-
people try to work in front of you.
You may do, or you do, say, the front, but then start
Then we're gonna
working
work our way back
into the hill.
Okay, I mean, I'm just worried about if you have people working and parking in the sort of the building right behind the first building, and you're doing a whole mess of digging and grading right behind them.
So we probably won't do that, what we'll
Yeah.
probably do is cut that whole hill down.
That's what I
to
mean.
the
That's
grade,
probably-
Drop elevation, and then make them so that they're ready sites.
Yeah.
I think, as Vinnie said, we do like to see how your
We'll do a
proposal,
phase.
yes.
Okay,
So
And I guess
it
we
does
could-
complicates, I guess.
right. We
Is
can
there a-
work with Richard and having some verbiage that they could
Yeah.
put in a condition.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Hold on,
Go ahead.
Wayne.
Mr. Chairman, Wayne Amico from VHB, just for the record. I guess this is really just a question to Jim and John. Understanding the predicament that the board is in, right, because it was one application filed, right, and that they're gonna have to come up with some way of articulating this. This is just a question, I haven't analyzed lot areas or anything. Is there a way that if the A and R broke out every single building separately with different lots, would that make it easier for the board to approve one at a time? I'm not sure if the areas
We
will
have a
work.
frontage.
You don't have enough frontage.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
We have the area in
Okay,
front of
yeah,
the.
all right, so that-
Yeah.
That negates that, okay.
Yeah.
Is there an
Like that would-
expected time frame on the entire project from start to finish? All lots being, all phases being done?
Based on the economy.
Okay.
Strictly
So-
on the economy.
It could be
Is this
nine,
is this
could
an
be 2 years,
infinite
it could be 10 years.
application of approval then, or
The approval's only good for 3 years.
3 years? Okay.
Well, but Century
They have
Drive is 20 years old.
Right.
Yeah, but they have to come in.
Century
They
Drive
come
is
in-
a subdivision.
So
and they-
if
But
it
then
takes,
the whole
what you're
project
saying is if
keeps
it takes longer than 3 years, they need to apply
They need
again?
to apply for
Apply
extensions.
or-
Extensions.
apply for extension.
Or extensions, okay.
Okay.
But extensions are not guaranteed. Typically, they're allowed, but they're not guaranteed.
I think if you're doing what we plan on doing and follow everything, I don't think there'd be an issue with the extensions.
No, and I think it's a great idea to have the whole thing in mind, so you can do your drainage all at once,
Right.
you know, I mean,
That's,
and then you're not gonna
Right.
get screwed up later.
And I've had projects in the past where you're gonna, do something over here, and then everybody's like, well, wait a minute, what are you doing for the whole, let's look at the big picture, because everybody wants to see the big picture. So, and that's especially true where have one one detention basin that's remote, and everything is going to it. So you wanna make sure, if you're gonna be doing work on that basin and doing outlet control
Right, I
structures,
just do it all at once.
you wanna do it all at once, you're not gonna go and say, oh, we'll pop a hole in and, oh, wait, now we're doing a little more, let's go and piecemeal. Just go in there, get it done, be done, and now you know that that's suitable for everything you're gonna do.
Right, and then you can concentrate over here and be efficient on your other end.
Exactly, exactly.
Wayne.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, just a question again for Jim, and I know that a lot of this is spec, and you're not sure who the tenants are gonna be and whether things will change and so forth, but I'm just trying to think through the board's predicament. Is it possible that, not now, but as a condition, prior to construction, you could come up with some type of a diagrammatic colored phasing plan that you could submit to the board that says, we intend to do this, then this, then this, and that way they could refer to that condition and say, well, Jim, you're completely out of sequence. Now, if you wanna change that, you gotta come back to us for an amendment. It gives them a little bit of protection that you can't just willy-nilly start developing things, and they're concerned to the point that, I forget which member made the comment about paving. You pave the road, and then you're trucking, gravel and stuff out of the hill, you're gonna destroy the road at some point, right? But if they come up with a phasing that makes sense, that they approve, as long as you follow that, that's fine, and if you don't follow it, you come back to them and just say, hey, we decided to modify it for this reason. It just may help simplify things a little bit, as far as having something written down that they can refer to, let's say, 2 years from now.
Right.
Somebody said about-
Building the second building, the third building, you're not starting the third building first, it would just make no
Right.
sense.
But what if you have a client that wants that particular building in the back?
You're gonna have to-
You're going to go out of order,
You're gonna have to pay a
right?
lot of
No,
money.
this is,
So-
we gotta build the street, we gotta clear for
Oh, well,
everything,
yeah, you
so
gotta-
it financially it doesn't make sense, they're gonna either have to wait or
Unless
buy
somebody
the
really
whole
wants it.
project and do
Okay.
Do
the
whatever they
whole
want.
project, I mean,
Right.
We
So-
did have people look at this project, that approached us, that wanted to buy the whole site. But the economy, the interest rates, everything tanked, and they walked. So, so we continued with our plan.
and we'd like to be in town with our businesses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in town with my business, I'm happy to be here, and this would be a great spot for me as well.
And we don't intend any problems, we just needed to keep it a little more organized than,
Okay.
maybe you built all the buildings and if all the tenants are in, but something still has to be done and we don't know what to do, we don't have any more.
And also, the thing is, if you build one building and A&R and sell it, and we do need the as-built,
Yes.
So those lot is,
Two small ones.
Two
Yeah.
small lots are
They'll
the
be,
ones that'll probably be.
right, they won't be combined on, right.
yeah, but down the road, you could sell other lot, so even
We would
coming
need an
in,
as-built before any
Yeah.
COs are issued.
yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, we would expect
at
that.
least for that.
So when you get your narrative, just provide a narrative of, this is the process that we're proposing, and then we'll review it and see if it matches everything.
Okay. All right, so, and we're fine with that, and that makes sense.
The other quick question I raised was, you've got 3 buildings on one lot.
Yes.
Doesn't that, in our industrial area, require an industrial park permit?
And
So
we,
you have to go through a site plan review. Did you apply for that?
yes,
That was included in the application?
yes.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it, so
I
good.
think it came up on the first meeting.
Yeah, it was, but I
Addressed it.
didn't remember seeing the application for that.
Yes.
Can I ask one more question? Your abutters are in another town. Did you alert them, like,
Yeah,
find their
I already got
names?
the green cards for that.
Okay, you did, okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
And it was nice because it's the same assessor in
Okay.
both towns, so he gave us, he was like, yeah.
Well, that's true.
He gave us both.
Yeah, I know, I questioned
And-
it on another project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The left is still.
yeah, the
Yeah,
jail.
the jail's over here, but there are some of
I think there's
others.
2 or 3 on the back.
Right.
There was
Yeah.
a bunch.
Boils, Enos,
Yes.
Okay,
And-
I just wanna make sure they weren't left out because they weren't on our list of
yeah, no.
Now,
residents.
and even one of the abutters is,
Water
the,
district.
well, the water district, but
Oh,
it's
the brother of an engineer or
the
something?
brother of, yeah, Jeff Wall. So I reached Jeff, when we were applying for to Century Drive, the engineer, the brother called me up, and I said, no, we're not doing that yet, but when we are, I said, I'll send you the plan. So I proactively called him, I sent him the plan, so he would have it. So, no problem.
Better than a butter's notice.
But yeah, even better, it was like personal service. So I really think that's kind of the long and short of it. I know that if Wayne has, I believe that we addressed his concerns. We have a letter that was a response letter, and we addressed everything that they wanted technically. If there's anything more, I think it'd be minor. You know, it'd be an I-dotting, T-crossing type of thing, nothing that would change the layout, the grading or the drainage associated with the whole project. If anybody has any additional questions, if Wayne, if you have any, I know we just sent that over earlier today, but, you know, everything that you said could be a condition where we agreed with, fine, have that as a condition, whether it be the clearing of the trees, making sure that, that one thing about the mounding, we changed that for the height of the groundwater, that HO, we changed it from 20 feet to 10 feet, and we tweaked an outlet and made, basically the bottom of the basin is gonna be the same as within 1/10 of what it is right now. Before we were scraping out a foot, but now we're scraping out a foot, and we're gonna be bringing a foot back in, or higher. So it really, nothing that really changed the scope of everything, so we were in agreement with everything, again, from VHB. If they have any other clarifications on anything, I think it's nothing that we can't address or that would change really anything in the scope of the project or the development of the sites. So that's the long and short of it. If anybody has anything else, or if Wayne has anything to add, we'd like to address it.
Wayne?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess, just for the record, I agree with everything John said. He did provide a final response letter this afternoon that I was able to get through most of it right before I hopped in the car, but there's a couple things we should probably just talk about, and for the benefit of the board, there's about a half a dozen of items that were left from our response, our comment letter that we issued on Monday. We probably, just for the board's benefit, should just run through those, John, just so that they're aware of them. Sure. I can do that, and then we can talk as needed. The first was they requested a waiver for the scale. Vinnie told me off the record that you guys have kind of already changed that, so it's not an issue. I guess maybe the bylaws haven't been updated or something, but that's fine, so they provided that. The second one had to do with the water district being satisfied, which Mike provided a letter to you today, provided that that's okay, so that's fine. The third one had to do with recommended condition about final signage being provided prior to the issuance of building permits. Obviously, that's standard standard procedure with you guys anyhow, but you probably should just have that. The next one on page 3 of John's letter, Melanie, did you print that for the board or no?
No, is that the one the last one you sent? Just-
Yeah. So maybe.
Dated the
Got it.
16th?
I'll let John hand that
I
out.
have dated the 16th.
What you do?
Yeah, I think you,
Oh,
I think you
No.
did.
No, we didn't. This is the one we just got afternoon, 2:45. No.
What's the date you have that you have right
today's-
there?
Got it?
did you print that and bring it with you?
Oh, I might have.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You did.
I have copies, so we can,
I thought I did too, actually. I don't know where it is.
No, this is July 14th and August 14th. What did you have?
16th.
Down right there.
The newest one.
He printed up.
Yeah, I just thought I had it, but I guess I don't.
Thank you.
So on page 3 of John's letter, at the top, we talk about just a condition about final signage before COs for each lot or whatever they're actually applying for. The next one has to do with interior landscaping. We had misinterpreted the size of the lots of lots 2 and 3, so it appears that he has landscaped the lots that are required to be landscaped. The next one has to do with the actual loading docks. John has clarified some of the questions we had. I think it's important to note, and I just thought of it while I was sitting here before the meeting, but we probably should recommend a condition that, I think it's lot 2, John, I think it's just lot 2, that you don't have standard WB tractor trailers, right? It's only SUs. There should probably be a condition in there that says lot 2 is only permitted for SU vehicles, because that's all that John was able to prove that can negotiate the building. So,
That's the depth behind the building, you only have a depth of the pavement of about just over 100 feet, 105 feet. Typically minimum, if you have a tractor trailer there, 60, 65 feet long, you need, it used to be 120 feet, now everybody's close to 140 feet. So you're not gonna be having full-size tractor trailers parking in the back there. You can get like, a
Trench truck and all that kind of stuff.
all that stuff, but you're not gonna get full-size tractor trailers back there.
John clearly identified that on his revised plans, the difference. It's just, I think we should probably add a condition that says that, for perpetuity, so that it doesn't get overlooked and something get developed and someone expects a tractor trailer to be able to go in there and realize they can't. The only thing that, I think, I've already recommended, a condition we had, as John mentioned, we had a couple of good conversations with them. This detention basin, as you guys remember, I remember when I first started with you, we looked at this project, and that basin's been there from when Century Drive was first built, right? It's kind of overgrown and so forth. They're proposing to clear all that out and so forth. They had issues accessing and getting the recommended number of test pits because of water conditions, high groundwater, et cetera, right now. So I think, given the situation, we've had an extraordinary amount of rain this year and so forth, I had previously said maybe a condition of approval could be that additional test pits be done prior to construction, and I caution John, the board may be very sensitive to that because this has happened before, right? This is a little bit different, as John explained. Their site is over here, if you will, and the detention basin is hundreds of feet away, not affecting, and it's anything that happens with that basin, it can be modified up, down, sideways, and not affect their development. So I think in this situation, it's very reasonable to make that, from my perspective, to make that a condition. Let them get going, let the weather be better, let them do another test pit, and then we can kind of confirm that everything makes sense. And John, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since this afternoon, but you did address our comments. There's still a couple of questions that I have that my engineer Nate hasn't had time to look at this afternoon, that I would rather you do the test pit, we can talk about it, and as I said, if John comes back and said, hey, guess what, the groundwater is higher than we expected, we need to berm up this basin by we can deal with that prior to any type of construction activities. I don't think that should hold up their approval, I think that can be done separately. Again, this is a lot different than a project where the basin is integral to the site, and it can't be modified without affecting a building or something like that. On page 5, there was a condition that we recommend about the fire department providing final approval. And talking about detention basin, normally you guys require some type of a fence to protect the detention basin. This one is deeper than typical, right? But again, it's in a very rural area. It is isolated from the building. It's isolated really from everything. It's just a gravel access path to get there. From my perspective, again, it's the board's decision, but from my perspective, I don't think a fence would be required in this situation. It's not next to residential units, it's not even next to a development, so I don't think the fear of somebody wandering into that should be as much of an issue in this situation. That's my perspective.
How far off of the road is it, the access road?
Kevin, from memory, it's gotta be at least 200 feet,
From the road?
maybe more from the road.
From that,
From Century Drive.
from Century Drive Road?
It's off the shoulder of, there is,
It's just down the hill.
it's in this area right here.
Right.
Off the shoulder of the road is probably 30 feet.
And what's
But
the
then it's
ele,
remote.
what's the elevation from the road to the catch basin? Is it,
It drops.
it drops towards the catch basin? So you anticipating some sort of guardrail system so that, Vehicles can't get back there?
30 feet from the road, I couldn't,
If you go
it's
around-
about 50 feet, but it's,
Yes.
you're going up the hill, and it's.
yeah, but what about, I'm just thinking ice. What if somebody's coming out, can they possibly go in there at all?
It's just been going up and down there for how many years now, and there's been.
Oh, there's nothing,
Maybe I stand
Go up and down
corrected,
every
maybe
day
it
for
is
the
higher.
past 10 years.
Jim and John would know, but it's been a while since I looked at that basin. If you think it's higher than the road, then that's fine.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's flat around the bend, well, here's a driveway for
gotta be
FedEx.
downhill.
And then it's over in this area, and, I mean, there's quite a flat area, and then there's transformers, there's other.
The access road is
There's
up the
things
hill.
to hit.
The access road goes up the hill.
Right, but the burn, like, on the downhill side of it is over here.
Right.
But to get this, there's that, I don't know who cut that
There's a
gravel.
gravel road up to the
Oh, I
tower.
think
That's the
there's a
top.
gravel
Is that the
road.
antenna?
Here we go.
There's a gravel road that is tower, that's on the high
The
side.
cell-
That's
the
what
cell
it said,
tower.
It's a cell tower.
Cell tower access?
Yeah. But no, there's, to your point though, there's not an issue with someone's gonna go off the shoulder of the road and end up in the base.
Is it close to the hospital down here?
No.
No, that parking lot's far away.
There's actually a lot for sale.
between?
Between
On the other
the
side.
hospital and the pond.
Oh, okay.
That's a tough lot.
What? Did they just make that one? I didn't
Is it
think there
for
was.
sale, or is it just sort of?
It's
No,
for
it's
sale.
for sale.
Okay.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's for sale.
Good luck to
That's,
them.
that's a tough one. That's got a lot of wetland.
I keep hearing this is the last lot for development. That was the start of your presentation, wasn't it?
Well, it's good luck on that one.
I think most of the land is next to St. Pierre's on the backside.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
it's a very difficult lot.
Well,
Thank you.
I mean, it's
Right.
industrial, that sounds good. We'll take
So
it.
let me just finish, I'm sorry. Right. So the next, I guess, number 3 in their response, we do recommend an A&R be done prior to any construction, as John already mentioned. John's added a note relative to clearing of the sight line at lot 2, as he mentioned. And, John, if you could just, because I looked at the zoning table, and I guess just for the board's clarification, the zoning table 1 appears to have some erroneous numbers in it. I think everybody probably realizes that, except me, when I looked at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? But it talks about number of loading spaces, and there's an extra numeral there that I don't think is intended to be there.
It was supposed to be like 1, 2, 3.
Right,
and
it says like 21,
Yeah,
30,
it's-
32, 43, and then 4. And I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Until I looked at it. So just for you guys' benefit, but if you can just explain to the board how the proposed loading and building uses are anticipated. I know these are still spec buildings, but just so that they can understand.
Right, so for the larger buildings, where we were required to have 4, it was either 3 to, depending on the square footage, 3 to 4 loading spaces. So, I know we did an analysis of a truck turning, let me put this on, I had it on silent. a truck turning analysis with an auto turn. It's a software where you can see the travel paths for commercial vehicles, tractor trailers, and whatnot. Here, I even have a printout of that. So, for instance, I'll start with the front lots, lot 2. We can have a tractor trailer, or on this would be a single unit truck, can easily come in, park, and then they can either maneuver out this way and come out, or they could turn this way and come out. Same thing for, this is lot 3. A tractor trailer can come in, back into a loading spot. Again, this is a single unit truck, not a tractor trailer. And then they can either pull around and get out, or if there's no other vehicles back, they can turn this way and pull out. The same is true for, we added additional loading spaces, even though we don't know, again, who the tenants may be. The requirement of the zoning is for these lots to either have 3 or 4 tractor trailer loading spaces. So again, they can pull up the driveway easily, park in these spots. If there is a loading spot on this side, like on this side of the building, it would be difficult for them to do a hairpin turn and come back down, but they have easily the ability to loop around the building and come back out. Same thing is true for, this is lot 4. Trucks can get in and out obviously very easily. If there were a tractor trailer located, say in one of these spots, it may be easier because of the depth of the parking area. It may be tough for them to pull around, but they do have so much pavement area, they can loop around the other side of the building and go out. So they have options depending on, and I wouldn't necessarily anticipate that you'd have a lot of tractor trailer users, but if it were the case, we do have the ability to, to get them in and out of there.
Am I seeing the employee type parking or customer type parking in the front?
Correct.
Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes. And
Is
so this
that-
would all loading in the back, loading in the back, loading in the back, loading in the back. All the face of the building facing Century Drive would all be employee /
Is
customer
that
parking.
enough? I'm just asking,
Yes.
is that enough?
Yes.
Also, last meeting, you have mentioned that you may, based on the business, you may push the building towards that.
Which one?
No, that building was back.
Originally, it was back, and then we pushed it forward. And the other thing that we did, and this was brought up by another engineer in Wayne's office, originally, we had a rather wide curb cut opening for access to this, so we added an island in this location so that it gets confusing. If you have a big, wide curb cut that's 50 feet wide, it turns into a free-for-all. So we added a landscape island here with curbed to kind of segment where the curb cuts are coming on here, so it controls some of the traffic. So that was a suggestion by VHB, and we incorporated that into the re-layout of this area as well. But we have all the tractor loading areas are all separated from where it would be like the employee and whatever visitor parking.
Behind that building on the far left bottom, is that enough space for that said tractor trailer to get in and out of there? I mean, the other buildings in the back, I understand, and the two in the front, I understand, but it looks like that one might be a little tight and no other way to get out except for that area on the left.
They do have the ability to, and it is tight, they can get, it's easily to pull in and back in. If there was another vehicle here, this would be tight for the second one in to get out. But again, they have so much pavement area, they do have the ability, they have to jockey around a little bit. Worst case scenario, they'd loop around, but it would probably be just as easy for them to, pull up here, back out, and then get in. And I think that's the building that I think Jimmy's looking for his contracting business. And that's one last thing we wanted to, about the.
So with or without tractor trailer then?
Uh,
It just looks a little tight, especially trying to get around that corner and back, going back out. It looks like you're gonna run over that island pretty easily.
Yeah, well, I guess we could modify the island a little bit.
I'm just
Right.
asking. I
And it
don't
was a little bit of
personally care. You Run
a,
over it all day long.
it was a, it was a balancing act because we didn't want to have driveway curb cuts
Right,
that are
right.
too wide.
Yeah.
And then again, it's a free-for-all, but then it might get a little bit tight if you have a tractor trailer in there. So
It
we're
looks
trying
like it
to,
would
we're
be
trying to
tight, yeah.
hit a balance between the two. And one last item, I know I talked to Jimmy about this, for if he's gonna have, we looked in the zoning, for a contractor business, which Jim wants to bring his business in here, that would be, that use is, it's allowed by special permit. So we wanted to talk to you folks about, is that something that can be incorporated for Jim's use if he has his contracting business located on the site?
Is it a ZBA special permit?
I believe it is.
I mean, you could say that's what's going in there now and go get the permit at the same time.
Okay, well, that's why we weren't sure if that's something, it is a special permit through the ZBA, but where we're in for, site plan and special permit, if that's
Well, they granted. though.
procedurally, it still has to go to ZBA.
Yes,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
It does. Wayne?
So that's it, so provided the board adopts the conditions we discussed, I think everything, they've satisfied all our concerns. Thank you.
You have more questions, Mark?
yeah, we were talking about some walkways to the road and stuff like that, so pedestrian paths. It didn't show on that other, the driving one.
And again, that was a part of, our conversation with, just because of the, let me flip to the second sheet. The elevations of the pads. That these are gonna be different pads at different elevations. Obviously, there's about like 10-foot elevation difference from this pad to this, is about a 20-foot elevation difference from here to here. Having internal walking paths with the slopes, it really doesn't make any.
What about them getting to the street, like if somebody wanted to just make a loop around Century Drive and then go back to work? I mean, or whatever, go get blood, who knows?
Well,
I mean, but just pedestrian access off the street.
yeah, they would have to, obviously, we have sidewalks in front of all the buildings for all the parking areas, but access down to, we're not gonna propose any cross-country ones because of the grades, and
Becomes a liability.
it becomes a
You're
liability.
gonna keep it plowed or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Drop it down 10 feet, 20 feet.
Right.
They would have to
So-
do staircases and.
You're right,
We
okay.
obviously have plenty of internal, sidewalks internally for people parking their cars. They can go on the sidewalk, go into the buildings, but for access down to walking paths down to Century Drive, we're not gonna propose any. It just
Do the
doesn't.
driveways or the roads need any sidewalks typically? If it's not necessary or?
Like FedEx,
Typically, we have it
if it was more
business
residential, I would
Oh, certainly
say
residential.
certainly, but where this is industrial and commercial, we,
Yeah, FedEx don't have one more.
None of the other businesses.
none of the other businesces do
Have a
either.
Sidewalk going up to their
Not,
business.
not even down the other end by the hospital and the Girl Scouts? And at the front edge?
They don't have
do.
all Girl Scouts.
Yeah, FedEx has.
FedEx doesn't have it.
FedEx don't have,
Right.
that's kind of where.
MMR.
Right, the back edge, the back people.
So
Mr.
that-
Chairman,
I'm just
think
thinking-
from
hold on.
recollection,
Hold
because
on, hold on.
we've done several reviews, sorry, Benny, several reviews. I think the way at least when we did the reviews, we kind of gauged the character of what was being developed. Like for FedEx, we didn't bring it up because we knew it was just strictly a trucking. But for the Red Cross, we did, and for a couple of the other ones that were gonna have pedestrian traffic and that had a lot of employees, we did. I would support not having sidewalks for this site, especially given the grade challenge that they have. Again, it's the board's decision whether it's important to you guys, but given what they've proposed, the proposed uses, to me, don't constitute a need for sidewalks on this site.
So is there, and that's kind of where I was going, is there a a way to limit the uses? Because I think the industrial district allows office space and other uses that would require sidewalks. Is there a way to put some wording in our conditions so that those uses are not allowed? And if they are gonna be intended to be used out there, then we would wanna see sidewalks and access.
Well, I don't think we're gonna have office space there. I know we're not gonna put office.
There's gonna be an
space
office
there.
building.
And there's gonna be an office for the business that's there, but there's probably going to be, you know, a handful of employees that are in the office.
They're industrial buildings, there's not gonna be office buildings. It just doesn't make sense to have an office building in that.
In the back.
That's, I like to hear it. So if we say something like the office space in each building shall not exceed 10% of the area?
Well, let me, if hypothetically, an insurance company comes in and they want to do an office building, well, we're not going to have enough parking spaces for them, and they're not going to need loading spaces. So then we would end up coming back before you saying, no, with this, all of a sudden, you know, we're going to have a 3-story office building here, and we're going to turn the back loading area into a parking field. We'd have to come back in for that. And at that point, then you could say, well, now, wait a minute, you're going to have, you know, 150 people in this office building, you know, now things have changed. So
Yep.
I think there's the ability for that, depending on if there's a change of use.
So if it goes over 10%, then you'll come back before the planning board. We'll make that a condition.
Do we have to lock it in at 10? Is that fair?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking. Is 10 good? Is 15 good? Is 5?
Why do we have to lock it at all?
I mean,
Because it always comes back to, well, we didn't think it was a big
I
change.
would say
No, we do the
25.
use.
I would say 25% would be fair, because I mean, you got,
Is that what you used to design the parking spaces out there, John? I mean, what was your percentage of area? I mean, that's really what we go
Well, it
by.
wasn't on a, it was, for office, we did one space for every 500 square feet, and at 13,000, and this varies by, so 13 divided into 39, so that would be
It's 1/3.
a third. And 28,
No, they can do it.
on lot 2, we had office 2,800 over, and storage of 5,600. Oh, but no, I didn't add the, so it would be 13,000 out of 52. So what's 13 over 52?
It's 25%.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The other question I have is, you know, last meeting, you know, you did mention from one lot to other lot, there will be a connection. Is there a
No,
connection?
we said.
They just said no.
Yeah,
Because of
the
the
elevation.
the elevations of the paths. Like
We
there's
get
a-
asked about it, Raj, and they
No?
told us that it wasn't feasible based on the grading.
I thought they said yes.
I wasn't here, but I know we
They
did
said
ask
they'd
that
look at
question.
it. Yes, we'll look at it.
Oh, look at it, okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any
Huh?
sense. And these will, again, they're gonna be 4 separate lots, it's not like one big campus, so the owner of this lot is gonna be potentially different than the owner of this lot, so everybody's gonna have their own businesses, it's not gonna be like
But the
every.
people can walk in the afternoon time, you know, that's what we're
Right.
saying.
And we wouldn't,
Rock
in-
climbing,
yeah.
scaling rocks.
and again, and I
And
think
there's-
this was also part of our conversation with, there's no place to walk and say, at lunchtime, I'm gonna walk and go get a sandwich. I'm gonna walk and when you go off,
You're gonna walk and go get blood, that's like.
that's all you can do. And you're probably gonna need a ride back with your
And you
juice
get the
box.
FedEx package.
So there's not other destinations around where somebody says, geez, I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah.
walk and go to the convenience store, or go get a sandwich,
Get Girl Scout cookies.
or go, yeah.
If they wanted
But-
to walk 3 miles, they could go to Dunkin' Donuts, but
Right.
they're the closest.
And, you know, you can probably get that on DoorDash anyway.
The other thing I'm imagining is it's gonna be one of these, the kickboxing or whatever, the radical workout people. And be like, no, well, you have to climb the rocks then. Look, it's just part of
Right.
the thing, you know?
And if they're tough enough to do that, they can.
They don't need a
So you can
second.
put on record that
Right.
kickboxing.
Now-
is medical.
Well, no, it's not a warehouse job, they're coming in there to exercise.
Thank you, Mark.
The other question I had at the last meeting was, did you have the shade trees in your parking lots?
Yes, we added that.
So we
And-
have trees for every 10 spaces?
Yes, except for the front 2 lots, that's if the size of the front 2 lots didn't require it, but on the back lots, they're big enough lots And so we added in the percentage of shade trees. We have, I don't know if you can see from there, but all these, they probably look like black dots to you. We have shade trees all throughout this island, throughout this island, along this island.
As long as you've done the work
Yeah.
and Wayne's checked it, that there are
Yeah,
10,
we were confused about the front two lots, and then John explained because they weren't large
They
enough
didn't hit
to
30?
meet that criteria.
Right, so throughout all the larger lots, we have all the required internal shade trees.
because right now, every tree in that area is gonna get wiped out, so.
Oh, yeah.
We wanna,
Yeah,
and, yeah.
and we even on the front lots, even though there wasn't necessarily a requirement, we do have shade trees after we make up the grade from Century Drive, in front of the parking areas where we have a flat area, we have shade trees along the frontage, so when you're on Century Drive, there'll be some prominent trees in the front, so it doesn't look like a big wide open.
You may wanna coordinate that with the street trees that are gonna go in Century Drive, because we require street trees along Century Drive.
Okay.
Anything else? What about the water department?
Oh, they sent another letter. They sent a letter saying they have it, yeah, or something like that.
We got an
No,
email
there's another one.
today,
It says.
So that's an older letter?
No, it's a new one.
and the
I
water
think I saw
department
that
has
too,
approved
yeah.
the
Yeah.
layout as submitted.
With approval of fire hydrants later, or something like that. But-
Yeah, the hydrant's gotta be located by the fire chief.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we do? Close the door.
What, are we waiting for anything?
The phasing.
Only thing is an Wayne's review, right?
I think this is it. I mean, I don't think, if you need me to formally respond to John's letter, we can, but I think, normally what you guys would do is you would draft something, you let me look, and I'll double check to make sure that all the appropriate conditions are listed. I'm fine with that, unless you guys want something more.
Right.
Building inspector is here. You have any comments,
At
questions?
this time.
At this time, okay. What do we do? Close the public hearing?
Can we need a motion to close?
Wait, what about the phasing talk? Do
Oh, yeah.
you wanna leave it open for that, or?
I mean, my suggestion, Mark, you guys can discuss, but was to make a condition that prior to the start of construction, Jimmy comes back to you and presents a detailed phasing plan of what he intends to do.
And there's some detail about the catch basin situation, right?
Correct.
The water level.
Detention
There's
basin.
several conditions.
Detention basin,
Kevin, yes,
yeah.
several conditions that we can.
Yeah, it gets to a couple of those.
Did you catch all so now do you want a motion to close the public hearing?
He's still waiting, hold on.
Don't have to ask audience first.
Audience feed, comments, public
Is
comments.
there any public comments?
Are you writing down the conditions?
No, the clerk usually does that.
I know, I got a few, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I
Yes,
got them.
some, okay.
So I got the ones that we noted.
From Wayne, good,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
And it's submitted for approval, the phasing plan, not just submitted
Yes.
a plan.
Get you one.
Just sent it.
Well, I've gotten that. You just said submitted. That'll be before any building permits are issued.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing on Century Drive? Mark,
So moved.
you need to go,
So moved.
okay? So, we have a motion.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Go up.
Aye.
Okay, with the conditions. Okay,
Well, let's close the hearing.
okay.
We,
Oh, this is close
as
the
long as we
public
close the
hearing.
hearing, then we'll have a draft approval. Clerk usually sends it off to the applicants for comments. We don't always take your comments, but we'll listen to them. And then we'll send it to Wayne, and we'll vote that at the next meeting.
Okay, in the meantime, I'll work with you with the phasing plan.
Cool.
And the wording for that,
And the
because right now it's not there. So right now you have to finish everything before you get a occupancy.
Got it.
as incentive.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to say, that I know that Gary and I wanna be good community members. Both of us wanna have our businesses in this town, we wanna be part of West Boylston's community, and, we want you guys to welcome us, because we wanna be good members of the community, so.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just
One
say,
last question I have for you is, so now the road is in, the water, the sewer's been approved, gas, the electric's in, the road is paved. How do we go about, applying or getting the road accepted so we can apply for the A&R lots?
so you have an address.
Does it have to be?
I think it's accepted, we accept, they think it's just approved, just doesn't.
No.
The road ex,
It's done.
You have to submit it, town meeting has to accept it.
But you can chop
So you have to submit,
We can apply for A&R lots now? Okay, all right.
Talk to the building
If you wanna
inspector.
stay for road acceptance, that's what easier for you to do.
Okay, thank you.
Stay for the rest.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, new businesses. I'll be taking it. To discuss the proposed bylaw changes, Emily. What?
We're changing the agenda.
quiet mark down.
Oh, yeah. Unless if you are not ready, if you want to wait for some more time, yes. That CMRPC has a lot of work.
Some handouts, I love handouts.
Cool.
Thank you.
thank you.
Alright, so I'm here to talk. Stand here.
Just take the mic.
Alright, so I'm here to talk about, the MBTA community, requirement that West Boylston is subject to as an MBTA community. So under this new law, the town has to create a multifamily zoning bylaw. So I'm gonna be working with the town to get you to that point. So the first few slides, papers here, just kind of summarize the zoning act. And you're an adjacent community, so you're under those kind of requirements. The state had broken up the towns under this law into 4 different categories. The deadline for this is the end of December 2024, so we do have some time, but we're trying to be proactive. So we had talked to Jen and Vinny and Raj about getting a bylaw passed, ideally at this coming town meeting. But if that doesn't work, then we also have the spring town meeting and next, in a year from now, October 2024 town meeting, in case it doesn't go through, doesn't get passed. So a few weeks ago, Vinny and Raj and a few of us at CMRPC, and Jen was there, had run through a compliance model. Basically, it's a kind of Excel spreadsheet that the state had created to plug in some numbers that the zoning bylaw would kind of constitute. And under the numbers that we put in for the proposed district, complied with it, so that's great. We have on page 5, it shows the proposed district that we ran. So this proposed area, it's 63 acres, which meets the minimum size for the size of the district. It's a contiguous district. Currently it's zoned as single residence and industrial, and has the multi-story district overlay in there as well, which allows buildings up to 68 feet, I believe. So basically, to comply with this, the town has 2 options. You could pass in a new underlying district, or you could do a overlay district. So I just kind of want feedback on which route you would like to move forward with. So I drafted up an example of what the changes would look like for the new underlying zoning district. But if you think you'd prefer to keep the underlying district and just add an overlay district to it, just let me know, and then I will draft something up. The state has put out, a sample language for that. I could come up with something for the next planning board meeting and run that by you. So, just curious on your thoughts about what direction you want to take with this.
I've never created a district or either, so, I mean, is there any guidelines or something that we should follow because of what we're trying to do?
Either would be fine, as long as multifamily housing is allowed by right in a certain area and follows the certain parameters. The state is fine with either. A lot of towns are going the overlay district kind of route because there is the option for it to have not a contiguous, but it could have different kind of aspects. So that's areas. So that's easier for an overlay district. But since this is a contiguous district, I think it would be fine to do the underlying zoning.
So just make it a new type of district?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a specific area of town? I'm confused.
Yeah, there's a picture there. So what we had talked
I
about.
see the picture, but I still don't know where it is.
So we are, right where we're
I should have
talking,
put the whole map.
what we're looking at is right at where Shrewsbury Street, Shrewsbury Street goes into Worcester. Right by that, if you see the road,
This is the
coming down
So
through
is
there.
this Tiverton Drive?
Yeah.
This here?
Tiverton Drive, yes.
Okay.
So that's
the
Tiverton.
jail over here.
And Briarwood is at the very bottom of the site.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's not even there on the
I don't
site,
think
it's
I see it.
beyond.
Yeah.
It's even beyond that. So those,
But it would be
those
down
lines going across are lots, the smaller lots going across are the residential units right by the railroad tracks on the south side of the power lines.
Like,
And we're talking about, this area we're talking about is the
Solar fields
Wachusett.
up here somewhere, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
The area we're talking about is the property owned mostly by the Worcester Country Club. The train tracks and the area south of the train tracks that is also owned, I think, by the Worcester Country Club. So
The two
what,
brown lines, the
what-
train track area?
yes, yes. And so what we talked about was making this include all the current allowed zoning uses, plus adding up to, what was the final number we came to, 20 units per acre?
18, I think.
18, right,
18 would
18 units
comply,
per
right,
acre,
so a
right.
max of 18 per acre.
So, requirement of 18 units per acre, so we can meet the requirement of the MBTA laws. And so, I actually wanted to have this labeled as the MBTA zone, so that we're clear that it's all because we are legally defined as an MBTA community, because we abut Worcester. And that's the only reason we're an MBTA community. We don't have any service, but we still
It'll be that green
Yeah.
strip.
are required under the law
Yeah,
to
close to-
Everything
expand.
in here.
Yes,
That's it.
yep.
Yeah, it's that blue outline.
This is a street?
That's Shrewsbury Street, yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. With Tiverton Drive here, and those
Wait, does it
lots
go up
with
sort of
those
along
houses
the
are-
road?
Yes,
I got you.
Yeah,
I'm
in
with
that
you.
section of the
This is to
industrial.
the jail.
It's the
yes.
train track.
How would you get
Oh.
there? You have to cross the tracks?
It's the train, there's the train track and then there's Angel Brook. I mean, I don't think
Yes.
there's enough room to build anything.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a wall up there. There's like a
Yes.
hill.
How do you access that
So
site?
that Angel Brook doesn't listen to the train.
What?
You just have
You
to
know,
have
but
this.
they-
You have to have the zoning.
Zoning, that's it.
The idea is in past conversations, the planning board talked about having 20 units per acre. It didn't seem to fit with the town of West Boylston. So we're not enthusiastic about having this, but if we don't have this, if we don't include a zoned area of that density of the required area, we lose the potential to get grants
Fundings.
and funding from the state. So we need to put something in town to preserve the chance to get funding from the state. So we found a spot that is agreeable to be used. If it does get developed in this use, it's not gonna be a problem, a a load on the town services, because all the services would be coming out of Worcester through Shrewsbury Street. There's no sewer down there, it's all septic. So it's a difficult location, but it,
How are they gonna get a septic to work with them at that high density?
we have to zone an area to allow this much density according to state laws. That's what we're doing. We're not trying to get 586 residential units in town. That's what they're, is that the number?
Yep.
We're not trying to get that. We're just trying to maintain the ability to get the grant funding from the state and meet the letter of the law.
Okay, so the proposal that you're suggesting is an overlay type of situation. Currently, it's single residence, so
Currently,
you're.
it's a single residence. We're not proposing overlay, we're proposing changing it to
Oh, you're not-
Carving out a new
not an
a new
overlay.
district,
Okay.
just so it's
That's-
totally
that's the
clear.
districts now will have that.
But there's a second option to do it as an overlay. There's one versus the other, and that's what we're gonna hear tonight, was what was the difference? What were the benefits of one versus the other?
Yeah, I mean, for an overlay, for an overlay, you wouldn't have to change the underlying zoning at all, so the existing zoning remains completely the same. And then an overlay, you're essentially adding that extra allowance of multifamily housing on top of that area.
So you could have both.
So anything that's there that is allowed now would continue to be allowed now.
If we do the overlay.
If we do,
For the
if we
overlay,
do
yeah.
just if we do a creation of a multifamily, can you still do a single residence?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, we save all the things that it says currently, so we get the benefit, same benefit as an overlay district, but we make it a new zoning district, so it's clear that that's where it is, and it comes up as the zoning district on the map. We already have, I think, 6 different overlay districts, so our mapping is confusing. So by having another zoning district, base zoning district, it keeps it clear that that's what's intended. It's still allowing all, or I would propose that the wording be such that it still allow everything that's allowed in a single residence district, plus this higher density stuff.
Should we add in some business, so there could be a little store or something, a little,
But that's a single-family residential area.
no.
It's
yeah,
not allowed
but
now.
only, right, no, not, but if there's gonna be that many people
Oh,
there,
that's overlay.
it might be a nice place to have a little shop, you know, so these people can get their stuff there.
Well, once we get the wording, we can actually amend that, but that's something to consider. Would it be a lot to add
Yeah,
that into the?
yeah, so you would just change
word?
that in the schedule of,
In the use
use
of the-
regulations, you would just say yes or special permit or something for businesses.
Okay.
So, yeah, go through that.
And would it be required that the business would the business be able to go in by itself and not have to have housing, or would it have to be a,
That's a good question. I'll double check on that.
Could you put the qualifications for the special permit, which says something like the business has to be accommodating or in, you know, conjunction with,
Yeah,
A
yeah,
multi-use
mixed
building?
use, yeah. Yeah, I think you can put that language in, for sure, as long as it says yes next to multifamily housing. And, yeah.
that's the idea. We need to meet the requirement.
So do we feel comfortable kind of moving this forward for the October 16th town meeting? That was my kind of other question, still sticking with that deadline.
What do we need to do? Do we need to do a public hearing on this?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we do.
think it was added to the, not the agenda, but, for
the warrant
Warrant.
the warrant, yeah,
placeholder.
yeah.
We can put the placeholder, but we need to
Yeah.
have a public hearing. So do we have enough time? Melanie?
No, well, it's not Melanie's decision. Can CMRPC draft the wording and draft everything in time for us to get it sent to the select board? And then they have to refer it to the planning board. Then the planning board has to hold the public
Public
hearing.
hearings. I'm asking Melanie because of the time.
Right, but I think the first step is, can CMRPC do it?
So August, September and October town meeting. Huh? Of course we can.
Yeah, right. Got like 30 people on my team.
Oh, good, we can do it. So,
If
I
we
think
get-
we have
yeah,
time
if
to
we get
do it.
That works
If we get
fine.
it- if we get it in time, yes.
Our meeting is on the
When-
16th.
Our meeting is
Right.
September 16th, so if we can have everything ready and advertised.
October 16th.
October.
October town meeting is the 16th, so
Okay, so our meeting would be on the 11th. So it'd have to be for the 4th, September 27th, and October 4th, for our 11th, meeting on the 11th.
Right, so we would need it September, the week before September 27th to get it into the newspaper, right?
And
Yeah, as soon as possible, because how that's gonna work with the telegram, I mean, the item now.
The item, right.
Haven't
Well,
done that yet.
you figure a week in advance, hopefully will cover us, so what's that date?
20th,
So we'd have to have the wording by September 20th?
Yeah.
or probably by our meeting on September 15th.
So the deadline is next year, why are we rushing this? I just wanna understand it a little bit more. I mean, I'm not saying it's a hard for me, but I just don't understand it yet. So why do we have to rush it? What's the benefit of not, waiting till next year? Or not?
Okay, if,
Give me the pros and cons for this year versus next year.
Generally, the idea is, we got a lot of stuff on the spring town meeting, a lot of financial stuff, and we do the zoning and other stuff on the fall town meeting, the special town meeting.
But it can be done next fall.
It can be done next fall, it can be done next spring.
I'm just looking
it
for
can
an
be done-
understanding of pros and cons this year versus next year. Is there a con, or is there a pro?
we still have
con-
to
There's
time.
no bad thing.
The
Yeah.
pro
If it
is-
fails next fall, there's kind of no backup plan, because then you would not be in
Okay.
compliance for.
That would be a con, yep, okay.
Right.
Anybody, anything else?
If we cram it through, then we don't have to worry about it in 3 months.
Mark,
It's just done.
Just try to do it.
let's focus on, for
Just
this
see
town
if we can
meeting.
do it and have it
Okay,
ready.
sounds good, we'll
Yes.
stick with that.
And if we can't, we'll go to the
So I'll
spring
come
or
up
the
with
fall.
something for the next planning board meeting.
Right,
Okay,
a week before the next planning
A
board
week
meeting, so we can
before.
review it.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, any other questions for me?
What is the total site? How many acres?
I think it was 63?
66.
Oh, 62.991, okay, I got it.
And what's there right now?
Woods and a railroad track.
Okay, so any access in, they have to get over the railroad track.
They can, yeah, they can get a permit to cross the railroad track.
There's no access from this side, from a different area, right?
I'm sorry?
Is there any access from this
Yes,
side?
if the city of Worcester property owner wants to build a big portion in Worcester and then wants to add into their, development in Worcester on using West Boylston land, it would be allowed. So
And-
that's the most likely access.
Is that the golf course, or is that something
I
else?
think so, I'm not sure.
Field trip.
That's it.
Okay, any other question? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
What do we do next?
Go according to the,
Next item on the agenda, 275 Woodland Street, Kid Doodles, request to withdraw site plan review approval.
Thank you for coming.
So we did get an, second, Kid Doodles. This is for the 275 Woodland Streets, not yours. I think you are for the coffee shop, right? Yes. Not yours. Okay. In this, we did get an email. That email says, whether the property owner need to be here, or your property owner requested whether she need to be here or not. So the board's, whether the board want to take any action on this. For me personally, I would like to see the property owners it presents when we withdraw this site plan review. Any comments?
I agree, because there's obviously some issues with the, water flowing,
drainage, yes. Yeah,
and it seems like a problem for people.
Mark, do you have any comments?
I think that it's not just to get rid of the permit thing, I think we have to talk to her.
There is, yeah, again, there is no hurry. So, and also, okay. So,
Yeah, I'm the abutter to that property. I'm just had to witness, cutting the trees in April and then everything stopped. And my concern is the property now is raw and it's got a steep slope. And I'd like to see it stabilized before the end of this growing season. If not, we're gonna have a lot of erosion, all the ideas of wanting to put in the retention pond become ludicrous because the site's unstable as it stands today. So my concern is just to see this, if they're not gonna build a retention pond, that's fine, because it's not, I've learned from talking to somebody on the planning board, the reason a retention pond is no longer required is that it's not a commercial building they built there, it's gonna be a residence that may allow a few daycare students. And that's fine, I don't care, I didn't really see the need of the retention pond in the first place because the parking lot hasn't changed dimension. The impact of the environment is greater than what's been done so far than would have been gained from a retention pond. I just wanna see the property stabilized, I wanna see it done, silt fences removed, line division. That's all when I look out my kitchen window, I just see silt fences and piles of dirt and mud. And I'm getting frustrated, I just wanna see that if the pond's canceled, they get orders to stabilize the site, plant, and finish it by October, beginning of October, so growth this year, because otherwise you're gonna have a mess there. That's all gonna flow down.
Okay, thank you. George, you want to add on anything?
I've spoken to them about that situation, and they are going to do whatever they have to do in order to withdraw that request, so, I think just by I'm surprised they're not here.
There was
No,
a
we-
conflict
I didn't hear.
on their schedule. There was something going on.
All right, so I'm in favor of it being that single residence district. I sent you an email, did you get the email?
Yes, we did receive the email, but personally, I do like to see the applicant here when we want to make any decision on this.
And I agree, that's fine.
And I think we're at the point now where it seems like you're okay with it being pulled out of the site plan review approval process, but because they got one step into it,
Yes.
they need to stabilize their site, and it's probably a good thing that they get that done now, so they don't need us to say to them personally, stabilize the site. If you could, George, talk to them and just say,
I will.
we'd like to smooth it out, put some loam down and seed it, and get it stabilized before our next meeting, and we can see a little bit of grass growing, and then be good.
Okay, fine, that's no problem. If I can do that, I'll see her, if not tomorrow, next week.
Good.
Okay, thank
So you
you.
want them to come, or to come
Next meeting, Melanie, please.
And I will let them know that you need to see them next meeting.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda, Westland Circle subdivision. Request to amend the condition number 15. Review application and the site hearing, site public hearing.
Oh, Westland Circle.
Westland Circle.
You outside, they just moved the soil from the
So with the Westland Circle, we did send it to the town council, we did not hear anything. So,
We had to hear a public hearing anyhow for any changes for planning board approval, so I applied for one, so we'll have enough time to, if we hear back from the town also, it's fine, but we can have a public hearing.
Right, once we get some guidance from town council, I think we have 90 days to respond to that, so I think we should have, I was hoping to get something by today, town council, so we'd be able to
I did check in
make a
with,
decision.
the town admin, we
Right.
didn't get anything,
Okay,
even at 5 o'clock.
so it is a
Yeah.
requirement, once it's submitted under that 81W, it's gotta be acted on.
That's fine. That's all I have. That's the only thing left on that part. Rest of all the work has been continuing it. The engineers are working on the as-built and other stuff, so I should have all the other paperwork done. It will not go to this meeting. It will go to the next meeting.
Okay.
Any other question on Westland?
Did we
Westland
change
Circle.
it, did we?
No, we didn't do anything.
We are not doing anything because
Oh,
we
we're not
are
doing anything
we are
tonight.
Waiting
waiting
for the council.
waiting for the town council.
The only thing I would say is, if we're gonna bring up the, first of all, the Westland Circle approval is, it just expired like a few months ago, it's over, it's 5 years, but I think we can extend in order to finish, because we're almost done. But do we have to formally say that we're gonna extend? Do you know?
I think, we could do it during the public hearing time.
That's what
Right.
we're waiting for guidance from town council. I
Town
don't know
council,
that you
right.
can extend a subdivision plan just to, you have to have a public hearing, just.
Oh, no, it has a public hearing and everything, but we have to do something.
Let's wait for the town
Okay.
council.
But if we're gonna have a public hearing to do that, we should also change the sewer requirements in the,
We will.
you know, not just change the one thing about path, we
That's
should
fine.
change the other stuff too.
That's fine.
Update everything. Right.
Update everything so everything is
So
taken
it's-
care. So it's a closed permit then.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I have to wait for the next meeting.
Yep, definitely. West Boylston, next item, West Boylston Getty Gas Station.
That's,
Parking space.
I don't remember that one.
It's you.
It's me.
Here,
It's you.
yeah.
I know it's me.
What's that?
I presented everything basically to George.
Oh, yeah, what happened? No.
You can,
Getting gas?
So he's got all the drawing, basically, you asked me last time about the drawing from, you know,
yeah,
engineer, somebody. I sent them the first time for the lot about 42 cars. Then we said, we don't need this, all we need just 14 cars.
hold on, what is it?
He's not going nowhere.
The invoices that you used to pay.
He's not going nowhere.
Who?
He's
He's
right
here.
there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Nuva
That's what I
Circle
thought.
is there.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So we canceled the 42, and then I did another one for 14 cars.
14 cars.
Right. And that's, George has it. And that's about it. That's all I need.
Charge,
Yeah. This plan, he has a license for 8 now, and he just wants to increase it to 14. And that lot next to his lot now has been purchased. This is a sketch, you have it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Purchased by,
He has, by him,
It was purchased from the beginning,
yeah, so he,
no, but anyway,
I just wanna make sure it wasn't somebody else.
Like, this piece,
my lot. So I should have no problem whatsoever. And also, all the drawing, this plot here alone fit about between 35 and 42 cars easily, and properly between 9.5 by 17.5 per car.
you just bumped into each other. Just
No,
walk around.
freely. They have a lot of space.
you know, this is a one lot, right?
But if you,
It's all
if you
one.
want to get out the back one, you might have to get some others out of the way.
And what about the
No.
cars here?
Oh, you can still
He's not-
drive
Yes.
around?
not in there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's for
You got
gas
plenty
stations
all around.
and
Yeah.
inspections.
Because you're not parking anything in the middle.
That's nice having the aisle all the way around, so you can take
Right,
the back ones.
so you don't have anything in the middle. In the middle, always free.
Okay.
And that's, Vinny, that's what you requested last time, if I remember.
Yes,
you
yep,
were
we
right.
have parking, we have a parking
Right.
space size, George, you're aware of that, the 9
Yeah,
by 18,
9
and
by
they need a
18.
24-foot aisle.
yeah, those lines I have on there, I drew a 9 by 18.
And the backup,
Approximately.
and the backup area, you have you have a 24-foot aisle behind them.
Behind the parking lot.
Aisle
He's
or
got,
setback?
would
You need 24-foot aisle for moving and for
Well,
maneuvering.
once I get the,
Yeah.
drawing that
Well, that's all
has,
you-
it's accurate, I will.
You got plenty anyway. You have enough
Yeah.
space to move.
Yeah,
But what are we doing? Planning board has to do something on this?
no, it's all through the
It's all,
zoning.
it's all,
Yeah.
it's all
It's,
Then,
up to the select board.
yeah, select board wants the, or you want the permit.
And do they don't need a special
I-
permit for, you don't need a automotive special permit on that, out of
he
the,
needed,
from the ZBA?
No, because he's just increasing the size of his license. He
I do
already
have a
has
license.
Oh, he has it?
so the
Okay.
select
That's
board
right,
has-
did you have that other?
Yeah, he
I
has.
have one for 8 cars, I'm
He wants to just get.
up to 40.
Then
And
you're all
I
set.
think it's good. But as soon as I get the drawing, would you like me to give you a copy so you can see what it is, or do you need to?
We don't have a file to put it in.
Okay.
Email me,
Right,
it sounds like
you
it's
have
gonna be like a,
We'll ask you.
Cars in and out anyway, so.
It's gonna look better than ours.
Yeah, so,
Mark, you have a question?
no, good.
Okay, anyone else?
So we don't need to
Nope,
approve
looks
or
good.
do
No, we
something,
don't have to
anything,
do
right?
anything, because it's less than 14,
That's easy.
Court is
so we
adjourned.
don't have to do
So it's
anything.
less
Now
than
it's-
14, so it doesn't trigger any site plan
Site
reviews
plan,
or
yeah.
about.
Right.
Yeah.
It's up to the
And there's
select
no,
board now.
yeah, yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yep, enjoy.
so give me that as soon as you get it.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
What's tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah, I'll talk
All
that.
right, thanks.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Good night.
George?
Nuha,
I'm not gonna send it. I don't care. Just send it.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. He writes the plan, and then it gets changed.
you know, we did get your email,
Yeah,
so we are waiting for, you know,
okay,
all the things to be straightened up
But you left.
yes.
before you sign the dotted line.
Exactly, yeah,
So
so I
that's
just
why we
have
did-
questions on
So that's
behalf
why,
of-
you know, before we take any of those things, we
Yeah,
need to-
I get that.
So I'm Vanessa Kuzmanowski, 6 Newhouse Circle. So I do have questions from everybody on the street. They asked me to kind of be on their behalf. So first question is, did 1 and 2 Newhouse Circle pay into the HOA funds?
No.
They did not? Okay.
They didn't buy it. I tried to sell it to them. They didn't
Okay.
buy it.
Okay.
You can try.
Yeah. So the bank account information, you have a copy of it?
I have a copy.
Okay, and when do we get that?
As soon as you open an account, I can transfer it.
Yeah.
What you can do is you can get a phone number on your trust name, on Noah Circle Drainage Trust. You have to get a phone number from IRS, and then the bank will open up an account. Or you can open it up with anybody's name on it.
Okay. Is there, do you have the amount that's in there right now?
$825, something like that. $825.
Okay. Somebody had mentioned that on the last agenda, we had talked about getting some
Through the
cracks.
chair, sorry. I've
Go
been
ahead, yeah,
answering
that's okay.
directly.
Go ahead, go ahead.
We talked about getting some of the cracks near the driveways sealed. I don't know if that's been complete yet, or,
Actually, the punch list was all completed. What all the punch list was made, it was all completed. Whatever is left is basically, it's part of construction, it's allowed.
okay, so,
Were these, you had photographs of an
Yeah.
area that didn't get crack sealed, is that the area you're talking about,
Yes.
or other areas?
yes, I know something was sealed. I don't know if the cracks in front of the driveways were sealed.
Those are the aprons. Aprons and the driveway, when it's paid, there's going to be a little bit seam. It does never get sealed.
Does it ever get sealed, Blaine, where an apron catches into the town's roadway?
When they do the top, I've never got it seen done.
Yeah, sometimes not. It really depends. Normally, if you were doing a saw cut on a driveway, you'd seal that joint where it matches the roadway.
Saw cut we do.
typically. But it depends. It depends on the condition of the joint.
So I think that's what they're talking about, is where the driveway meets.
And
I mean,
VHB was-
I have one
I
of those
was
cuts.
there, I was, when VHP, myself and the town administrator, we did a site visit. So we did look at several different places. And the cracks, we looked at in the middle of the road, there were cracks.
Right.
I'm assuming you filled
That's
all
what's
of those
unfilled.
things.
Yes.
So this is
This
some
is
of the
for the
cracks.
driveways.
And based on the VHP, they said it won't be fixed, right? Or,
Actually, it was accepted by the DP and DPW.
yeah,
They didn't even want me to fill the cracks in the middle, which was, the cul-de-sac was the major problem. That's why they made me repave the cul-de-sac. There was small cracks in between the road. I didn't have to fill it. DPWD was okay with it, but since planning board was, and Jen wanted it done, so we fixed some of the crack holes on the
is it
middle of the road.
bigger cracks on the driveway, no?
No.
You don't know,
I,
which house is this?
I mean, one of them is my house, and I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. So you have the answer.
Okay, near One Newha, so the very first, there is a lot of runoff and soil from the road that is from the road not being graded correctly. Is this something that can be fixed?
Is this the other house?
No. This is at the entrance she's talking about.
Entrance.
There's lot of runoff, there is a lot of runoff there because of, the reason is, it was a steep hill and it was never broomed for 3 years now. 3-4 years it has not been swept. The road has not been swept. I'm supposed to,
Newer or the?
it's Nuha Circle.
Okay.
So the road has to be swept because all the gutters and everything, we have sand. Plus all the catch basins have to be cleaned up, which has not been done. And the detention pond has to be cleaned up. Those 3 items are not done. I usually do it before it goes to the agenda.
Okay, but, so is there any sort of grading that needs to be done, or is that just from road?
Is it?
Road cleaning.
Which house is that?
First house on the
It's
left.
right at the
On the
catch
other
basin at the very beginning of the road, is what
On
it
the other
sounds like.
side, right?
Yeah.
No, it's right as you're going down,
Is it sand
Turn
that like
into
a
the
street
newer
cleaner
circle.
would pick up?
Yeah.
it's the catch basin right there.
Well,
where
from what
puddles.
she was telling me, it's actually from like the Prescott coming into Newha,
Yeah.
kind
No,
of.
that's what I was saying.
That was supposed to be that way because there's no catch basins on Prescott at all. So some of the runoff from Prescott is been picked up because the houses are higher. It's like 15-20 feet higher than the road.
And plus, we got a lot of rain this year.
This year has been maximum rain anyhow.
I do remember that VHP did looked at this place.
Yeah.
Everything was
Not-
taken.
I don't think so they recommended for
Media
the,
volume set to 100%.
Siri wants to talk to you.
so they did not recommend any action on that.
Right, so I know you said that the final maintenance and the street cleaning will be done, when exactly is that?
By within a month, it will be done before the acceptance.
Okay, so I guess this is like my biggest question is how is the road accepted versus when we sign versus when you clean, like,
You can always come to the town meeting and then say,
Say it's not done.
he is not completed, stop it, that's it.
okay, but let me back up. Okay, so first of all, there's an HOA agreement that needs to be signed. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So
Can we keep quiet, please?
at first, we were told there were supposed to be 3 people that needed to be on it, and then you said 2, and now you're saying just
No.
1?
No, the thing is, what happened was initially 3 people volunteered
Yes.
and 2 people
Backed
are
up.
backed out of the association. They don't want to be an association. Only you are left.
Yeah,
And
Wait,
that's why I
not
told.
in the association at all?
no.
No,
They were houses 1 and 2.
That's
Oh,
a A&R lots.
Okay, all right.
They wanted to be an association, they wanted to be active, and when it came for signing, they told they don't want to be, why should we be responsible if we don't have to be?
Right.
So Vanessa was the first person, and those were the 2. So Vanessa
Oh, there's only
is
one
the
left.
only one. I
So
told
how
it, one
many
is
people
okay.
need to be on this HOA?
All of them.
Give an answer.
No, as a trustee, all we need
Everybody
is
is
one.
on, everybody is in the homeowners association. They
How many-
are.
Who needs to get it
You-
notarized as a trustee?
He can do it, you could do it, any one of, whoever is the chair, what's the head of it called?
Yeah, chair.
So the
But
chair
how
can
many?
do it.
You only need 1 person?
You don't
from-
need any of the people who own the houses to record that document.
So you don't need me to sign it and notarize it?
You can sign it, and it can get recorded at the registry of deeds, right?
Yeah, I can do it, but I need to know a name. Whom should I notarize it for? She has to sign it.
What does
You mean
what
you
does she
wanna-
have to
your-
sign
Your
for?
problem is you wanna remove your name from it.
Yeah, I'm going to resign it, which I have
So
given.
He will
So
be-
you do that after the town meeting and the road gets accepted, you can do it then.
Then also I can do it, but the board told me I had to get a
Ready.
trustee. So
So you-
which comes
Who's the
first?
trustee?
Right. this
Right
is-
now,
You're
I'm
the
the
trustee.
trustee.
Right. So
If
you're
I-
a
if
trustee.
Transferring
if the road is
to me
accepted,
once the road is
I'm out.
accepted.
No, you, well,
can
no,
resign.
but you're still the trustee.
Yeah,
And then, once it's all accepted, then they would be taking it over and would sign off.
what
and
happens
accept it.
if they don't take over and I resign?
It's theirs.
Then the homeowners association still exists. It's established. It does
That's
not
fine.
matter.
That's the question we were trying to look, so they don't
Well,
have
that's
to
what
sign it
Kritz
now.
should have, your attorney should have explained that to you.
No, he told it's better to get it signed up. I told the planning board was looking for a sign up.
Right.
That's what I was told in the previous meeting, that we need to resolve the drainage trust situation. You had to appoint new trustees. I was told that in a meeting.
When you say appointment of trustees, what's the difference between a trustee and just the people that own the properties?
I can charge them money to fix it.
The trustees vote, it's kind of like the representatives of
Yeah.
all the people. So the
If
trustees.
they want me to
are-
be
So what,
representative, I can
7
be.
people? 7 houses?
This is gonna be another question too,
Okay.
but essentially there's
8.
8 houses.
8
houses.
houses. There are 8,
Right now.
8 on the association. I think there are 8 in the association, right?
There's supposed to be 8 in the association, hypothetically.
So for the road acceptance, there is a copy of any homeowners association instrument that establishes the maintenance of responsibility.
That has
for
given.
some of the- Yes, you gave it.
I gave it already.
So, but now you are the
Trustee.
homeowners, yeah, trustees. But he wanted to hand over it to you, the Noah Circle, one of the residents, so that he can get out of that.
Right, but we don't have to do that in
Yeah.
order for the road to be accepted.
We don't
You can be
care
on it
who is
forever.
the trustee. We don't care who a trustee is,
Okay,
do we?
so
If it's-
we're
it
going
says
to.
that
Again, if town doesn't have a problem, I can resign
Road
it.
is accepted. and-
After road is
But he
accepted.
resigns
That's not my
it,
legal advice. We're
No, I
not
know.
supposed to do
Then
that.
they have
Yeah.
to establish a new trustee. It's
So
the
if he-
homeowners association will then be responsible
Yeah,
for
he
it.
can resign it.
Yeah,
That time,
and then we have to choose someone. Okay, so we
But
don't
it's
do
better
anything
to have
until-
an account open or have a check there so that you can put that money in the deposit account. And as soon as the town takes over, yeah, I'll
think-
resign.
I think that my street is comfortable with when the town takes it over, doing it that same week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But you have an account open so I can have your check.
Yeah, we'll
written
we'll
down.
have an account open.
Yeah, you can open an account and keep it, so I can transfer the funds in that account. And as soon as the town takes over, I can resign it.
Yeah,
I'll hold myself till then.
okay.
I don't have problem.
So nobody on my street has to sign anything for it to get to town vote.
I didn't read it that it's required to be signed. You need to
No.
have the homeowners
We
association.
need the, we need,
I think-
we can talk later on that. Okay. No.
Isn't it all established when they bought the houses? Because the
Yeah.
thing was in their deed packet.
Yes.
Okay, so this is where it brings me to the interesting part, so bear with me. So hypothetically, there's supposed to be 8 houses. I did some deep research and looked at the deeds, all of the deeds, and there's actually only 6 houses that have it included in their deeds. Mine is not, and number 4 is not. And I have examples of this. So, for example, this one is mine. It doesn't say anything in here about homeowners association. Whereas this one does, it says, subject to provisions of the New House Circle, homeowners association dated September, blah, blah, blah. So, this is for houses 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. But this is not
Well, then
including
you're on
4
it.
and
Don't worry
6.
about it.
So,
No, that's not it work. In the approval, this is the deed.
this is the
But
deed.
in the approval, the planning board approval
Right.
and the covenant, it's already recorded.
So I have the planning board approval, and it says that it's issued for more than 4 of the lots. So if this is 6 lots, that's more than 4. So you really only need these 6 houses to be in the homeowners association. You don't need 1, 2, 4, and 6.
That sounds like Kritzy may need to work on that.
Yeah, really
If
give
they,
them-
if
give them
there's
what things-
no requirement in their deeds, we need to establish who is in the homeowners association, clearly.
I think it is a very easy question. Christie will answer it because it is in the deed that the roadways and other stuff has been already.
I
done.
think,
It's not in my personal deed. I went through that with my lawyer too. So I know for sure it's not in mine. I went through the other ones just to be sure that I wasn't the only one. Number 4 is not in there as well.
Yeah.
So number 4 may
4
want
and
to
6
be.
is not there, you're saying.
Right, exactly. So,
I'll find it out. I'll get back to.
okay.
on the-
Did you look at 1 and 2?
Yeah, they're not included either.
Okay, I was wondering,
Yeah.
maybe they got it.
I know. I
Oh,
looked
that
at
was
too.
not included in
No,
yours.
there wasn't,
Okay.
theirs wasn't included either, but that's kind of why I looked at it to say, well, if theirs wasn't, then why,
Well, either way, the association, for the warrant, we have all the paperwork in. That's what we are going through.
Yeah, but you are still pending a lot of things. Are we going to be ready by?
No,
meeting.
all my stuff is there. This is the new stuff which came in. But it's nothing to do, the association is in place.
We have a town administrator here.
the association is not
Oh, I
in
didn't know
place.
she was here.
I was upstairs, I was hiding, thank you. So I just pulled up the street acceptance procedures, I haven't done a street acceptance before in West Boylston. And the adopted process is that this application needed to be in 3 months prior to town meeting. So this is not possible for unless there's gonna be a deviation from the written process. The town meeting warrant closes in 15 days.
Yeah, but
Yes.
this
Hold-
is, this,
hold on.
okay.
that's the process, we wanna try to hold it. The issue here is the residents who live on that street really wanna get this accepted by the.
Oh, I
town.
understand that.
The,
And planning board is
school
working
stuff.
on it.
And we're trying to get it done,
It
but we
just-
need everything submitted.
Right, but the warrant is closing on September 1st, so you really have.
You can have a space holder.
I can have a space holder, but there's not a lot of time between now and the town meeting, so.
I agree, and so that's good, so I think what we need to do then is get your total package in one email, we'll send it to town
That's
council.
already sent to you.
In everything, it didn't have the plans with it, you referred to plans that I didn't
No,
find.
the plans were attached to it.
They were not attached to the email that I found.
Okay.
Did you drop off any hard copies?
I dropped off hard copies, but what happened was I had a copy for the selectmen and a copy for planning board. I think both went to select board.
Oh, is there something upstairs?
Well, no, we don't need to look at it all now, we should be.
I'll have all the plans,
We
yeah.
get that all done, and then we get it to Wayne as well.
Yeah.
And so that they can review
And
it.
will this include which houses are in the homeowner association?
I think they're
That he
all
need to
in
work on
the
that,
association.
that he need to work on with the.
Right now, I am
ASAP.
the homeowners association, that doesn't matter right now for that. And about the 15 items what we had of the select
Do you
board,
have any more
Yeah, I
questions?
just like-
Add a
it's really
separate
important
letter.
To know if I'm gonna be in it, because
Oh, yeah.
in
I mean,
number 4, so we already established you
Mike,
wanted
I
to
have
or
a
not in
question.
it.
Do you wanna be in it?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
So you're
I
going
don't
the
wanna
other
be
way,
in it,
okay.
yes. Now that I know it's not legally required from me, then I would like to step away from this whole thing, and I don't know if
I think that's a question for the attorneys, we don't know. Do you have any
Yes,
idea?
that-
So
Well,
who wants to take the lead on that then?
I don't know.
no, I'll take the lead, my attorney is supposed to
But
answer
it
it.
sounds like it doesn't matter who takes the lead, right?
No, the two different questions. There's no, you don't need someone taking the lead to get it moved before town
Right.
meeting. The trouble here is that there's documents, there's deeds that don't have the requirement that they're in the homeowners association.
Right.
I think they're still bound by the original approval,
They're-
but that's a legal thing that I'm not an attorney to say, so that's why we need a legal
And if
decision.
that's the case, then we need to see that in writing, something
Yeah,
before
we'll get it to you.
anything gets.
Gotcha.
Right now, as per this one, for acceptance, I
hold
have
on,
done
hold on.
everything.
Any more?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
There was a question about, he just gave us 8 answers, but there were 15 things to be submitted for the acceptance of the plan. What happened was, you have the letter here saying that they were combined, what they did, he did was, he had combined 3 and 4 into one copy because it's one deed. It's going to be one deed for both, that's how KP Law likes it, I believe, that's why he did it that way.
Is that the one about the water district?
Yeah.
I think the water district, because it's a district, has to have a separate document. I think
Oh,
that
they
was
got
one of
it
those.
already.
They have a
Water
separate
district-
deed or whatever they.
Yeah, Water District has given already their approval.
Oh, no, but there was something about the fact
Yeah.
that they're not part of the town, they're their own district. They need a separate document. That's the way I understood
That was
reading
signed
it.
already when they
Okay,
gave us.
here
the
it is.
Yeah.
For easement relative to municipal water supply, the right or interest will run to the West Boylston Water District. So
What
we
number
have-
is that?
It is number 6.
Number 6 and 7, he has included both of them in one.
But
Yeah,
you
but I
need to
think they
make
have to
it
be separate.
separately for the water department.
Because it's not part of the town, it's its own district.
Okay, that's fine. I'll have it.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be much different. I
Yeah,
just
it's
think
the
they
same
need their own
thing.
thing.
They only need their own copy. But what he did was he included
Yep.
both West Boylston, Water District and.
Utilities and the water-
Yeah,
so, yeah.
everything is included in one deed. That's how KP Law likes it. And
Oh.
it was approved in other project in Holden same way, I believe. That's why he did it.
It's at West Boylston Water District is different from that. Our
I'll
sewer,
change that thing.
Holden Water District is
Drainage,
part of the
sewer
town.
and electric.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did get the copy of the warrant article, a copy of the stone bound certification by the professional land
Yeah,
surveyor.
we got that.
A copy of the as-built plans showing the street to be accepted.
Do we have that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Is that part of the stone-bound drawing, or is that a
There
separate
are
drawing?
two drawings
I know
attached.
there's 2 sheets to that drawing.
It says in that drawing.
Oh, the yeah.
Is a stone-bound certification, it's not a
Right.
drawing.
But there's the original drawing that was drawn by whoever the first
Button
engineer was.
Engineering.
Boston.
That's
And
not,
then you had your surveyor make a 2-sheet drawing, one stone-bound, and then
One layout.
another sheet.
yeah,
And I don't know if the other sheet has enough to make it an as-built.
it is. It is an as-built.
Have you seen this?
I mean,
I've seen a whole lot of plans, so.
Those are too small. If you, I have emailed it to Melanie just now, so you'll have it.
Okay.
Should we have that sent to Wayne or something like that, just to have him make sure that it's a good as-built?
I'll send.
Well, I want to get a whole package and send a whole package to Wayne and have
Okay.
him read through and make sure that all the engineering survey and that stuff is what we need to
Yeah,
have for
okay.
road acceptance.
Because last time we looked at that, there was a lot of stuff that was not included, I believe, in the submittal by the attorney,
Right.
if I remember right.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about the as-built drawing, because it's supposed to have all the utility stuff, and it was just, when I was looking at the tiny little one, and I didn't know.
Yep.
It is,
The other thing is, there's not a lot of
Mylar.
utilities, there's not a lot, there's no sewer, so you don't have that going down, and there's not.
And
a
there's
lot
no
of damage.
wetlands, so there's no conservation in there.
But it's buried utilities, right? Buried electrical?
Yes,
So that has to be on there.
yes, yep. Yeah, so the power, as well as the transformer, so you need the actual line, so that if someone's gonna be digging, they know generally where the line is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I gave a as-built for the water department, and they were satisfied with it. And they sent an email already to the planning board saying that
I think
we
I
are
saw
good.
that. Yep, yeah, because that had a shut off, so that should all be on the same as-built plan.
No, it will be two,
No.
it is an as-built plan, yes.
As long as it's on the as-built plan.
It's on the
and
as-built
approved
plan.
By,
Water
district,
department.
That's good.
That was already done.
Okay, good.
Do we need a certificate of compliance from the West Boylston Concom?
No, there's no conservation land there.
Conservation land?
I don't know, there was no.
There is no wetland.
Which shows like the monuments.
Can we get something from the Conservation Commission, just that says there's
No,
nothing?
we never filed it for
Right,
conservation.
so you have them say there's no file for this project.
No, it's not on record. That's why the attorney told that there's nothing.
Oh, okay, so the attorney wrote that.
Attorney wrote it, there's nothing on it. Peter Adams gave a title report already.
Yep, that's further down in the list, yep.
Further down, we have Peter Adams' title report says that there's no conservation on it already.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So there is no gift to the open space?
There's no
Item-
open space.
Item number 8,
Correct.
nothing.
And
Item
there's no
number,
Concom's out of it, so we don't need the Concom number?
yeah, I don't think so, there is no
No
local
lip.
initiative, 9.
Not to interrupt you, we're gonna have the attorney and VHB review all this documentation. Why do we need to do it now?
Okay.
So do we know
So
what to
is there
ask for?
anything we need? That's all.
So what?
Well, you're gonna make the separate document for the water district. You're gonna straighten out her,
All I need to do
Deeds,
is
the two
straighten the
deeds.
deed out and get an answer for her.
yeah.
But either way, I'll be the trustee till it's resigned anyhow, so that can be done by the next meeting. I'll get it to her on that part from my
And then
attorney.
the separate, what do you
And
call it?
separate deed
Document for,
for our water department. And I'll get a letter from water department saying that they have a separate deed.
So we do need a full package, that's it?
Yeah.
And then we will send it, once we receive it.
so but it sounds like the package, all he has to do is change that one document
One
for the
deed.
water district.
And straighten, her
Well,
thing
straighten
will
her
be
out.
separate.
Well, I think that we should move forward, assuming that's just
Yeah.
gonna be straightened out.
Yeah.
Or not. I mean, it is as it's.
She has time till the day of public hearing,
Right.
except on the town vote.
Right. Our next meeting is September 14th or so? 13th. So that gives
That's
us
no
enough
public
time.
hearing?
Enough time for
Right.
that.
It's on the agenda, or it's on the town warrant. So we have a
September 13th.
placeholder on there, so that we're moving, assuming that we're gonna get a response back from town council and from VHB before that meeting, and then we'll be able to,
What time is the meeting? 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
7.
I like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, me too.
Mark that.
Well, I'm okay.
So until then, you will be
I'll,
not signing
Yeah.
anything.
Correct. Okay.
And, when did you wanna, when were you, just so we know, gonna clean out the basins?
before next meeting, I'll have it done.
Oh, before the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll, okay.
And sweep
It's
the
already
road,
in
right?
schedule. Sweep the street and clean up the detention pond and clean up the catch basins.
that's clean out all the sediment, all the
Yep.
stuff that's washed up over years.
All the washouts.
Yep.
What happens if, you know, say I am recused from this and somebody else in the neighborhood decides not to open a bank account? What happens to the funds for the trustee?
It is in
Keeps it-
escrow account sitting and I can start spending that money and charging you back, or is in the trust.
And is there a way of showing like the amount paid by each house?
Yes, I have that.
So do you have that for numbers 1, 2, 4, or 6?
Yeah. I think whatever I have it, I can give it to you.
1 and 2 paid in?
Hmm?
1 and 2 paid in?
I
At
think,
the beginning of the meeting, you said no.
Right, I don't know, I've never
I,
seen this.
I have all the HUD statements who have paid in.
Okay.
I want to see if you have paid in, so you
And
know.
if I am paid in, but it's not on the deed, then I can still get the money back. And-
That's the
Let's,
next.
let's,
Well,
let's,
the
let's,
next
let's,
That's
let's
that's
get
not our
on.
thing.
$100.
That is not our
It's
thing.
$100,
Okay.
don't worry
That's where
about it.
lawyers come in.
Thank you.
That's not our thing at all.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, informal discussion, 181 West Boylston Street. Proposed copy.
the zoning bylaws?
It's all done.
That's done?
Yep.
The number 7?
That was the golf course
You
area.
did 7?
Number 7 zoning bylaw.
Zoning bylaw, oh no, the codification.
Qualifications we can talk about, yeah.
Okay, we'll get them
Thank
out.
you.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not
see
in.
now. That's gonna be painful.
And also Wayne is here. So Wayne, this is going to be the coffee
Oh,
shop.
you were supposed to
Oh,
ask,
yeah, Wayne.
ask about an
Oh.
invoice?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Mr. Ali,
Hold on.
She has a question for you.
some checks.
Hold on. You can sit down,
money.
please.
You owe money for, some invoices.
How much? What do we
It
get?
was sent to Frank, right? 2,000 something?
Sent to
That was-
Frank
that was prior.
directly?
Frank,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You wanna be treasurer next? Cash.
Those are two new ones.
they should take care of it. So you are these, can you have this?
No,
I have a copy. You got it. You sent me an email. I thought you took care of it. Oh, you did. You gotta come and see it? No, I don't see that, I just pay
Yeah.
directly into
Does he need
it.
to give any extra, or you want to pay that?
How much is left?
Can I put it on my credit card now? No, we can't, no.
This bill is.
You're gonna be walking away.
Hey, I have a question. There's some money left in 73 West Paulson Street because we
I saw that.
withdraw that thing.
What is 73 West Boylston? Where is that?
That's next to the marijuana place.
It's across from,
you still have the money?
Yeah, Vinny is holding my money.
he has to finish up.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
That's in our list here.
Which is
We're going through a whole bunch of leftover money.
Can you-
Is it a lot? Is there a little?
Oh, yeah.
This is the next project.
73.
That was the, housing.
He, earlier in it was, he brought in for the single family
It was gonna be the.
on top of the marijuana
Did
place.
you just not do anything with it, or?
We drew it. Parking lot.
I thought that was Pierce Street that was withdrawn.
That was too.
That was too
I
also.
don't remember
Oh,
that
so
one.
you have money you wanna put to that, you're saying?
No, I want to withdraw it. If you want, you can put it in, that's fine.
You
Okay.
can't do that.
No,
We'll
we
take
can't.
care of, Natalie will take care of that.
Small
Yeah.
housekeeping, sir.
Gotcha, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali.
Gets rid of my question marks.
Go ahead.
73 West Boylston, Vinny?
73 West Boylston Street. There is,
Want me to
whoa,
open this up
It's
because,
got
I'm more familiar with this
3,500.
street than
Yeah.
Julian.
I mean,
Okay. All set?
yes.
You know that, but, all right.
Was that withdrawn? I don't remember that.
I'll have to look it up, I don't recall that at all.
I did say.
It's just good to go. We're all set.
Talking-
Keep that.
Julian at the whole meeting.
Okay.
If theirs can, it's already here.
No, we can't transfer that.
Can we talk later on, please?
Yes.
So he is there. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Bob Gallo, this is Julian Vitruva, he's my engineer. I'm gonna open up only because I know the history of this, excuse this
Go ahead.
cough thing. We originally started with the planning board way back. And we were trying to put in a coffee shop, and we had 8 seats and 10 seats inside the establishment. Well, we went before we came before you one time and said we only needed less than 15 parking spaces. So we assumed that that would get us the special permit process, the ZBA. When we went in there, they classified the drive-through coffee shop as 2 different types of businesses. And one of them was the drive-through, and then the second one was, they called us a restaurant. Well, we kind of argued that point and said, we're not a restaurant, you know, one or the other, which one's gonna pertain to the amount of parking spaces. So they were insistent that we come back and meet with you gentlemen to discuss whether we are or not. So in the process, we decided that the 8 seats that we had that were getting us into the parking problem, we got rid of them. We said, let's become a drive-through, because that was the intent of it anyways. And 8 seats isn't gonna affect us one way or another, except probably give some complications. So we became a drive-through. And we eliminated all that space, and in the process, I hired Julian, who's an engineer, to determine by the zoning regulations how much parking would be required for a drive-through. So with that, I'm gonna give it to Julian and let him pick it up.
So to understand it, you won't be having anything outside seated.
Exactly.
Or inside seating.
It
Or
is,
inside.
God.
So this is like one of the original sketches that you had. That's all gone now. That's nothing.
That's gone.
Yeah, what we did was we took the seating out, we took the patio out. and
Just
we
the
made it-
drive-through.
Just the drive-through,
So the whole inside is just kitchen or whatever.
just kitchen and storage.
And a cash register.
No.
Cash
And a
register.
cash register.
Okay, so Bob came to my company and we went through your rules on what do we need to do, and the letter I submitted to you, I went through, I have five items, your regulation, and why we don't trigger the threshold. And so we don't trigger any thresholds because the parking is already there, so we're not building any new parking. We're not changing it. It's existing, it's striped, it's all there. And so I can go through, if you all have this letter, I don't know if you're all able to read it.
I don't either.
He's got it.
We left a whole,
I read it, I just don't have it.
Yeah, I
okay.
haven't seen it either.
so,
I may have only put it in, your pack.
I know we dropped a,
We know who her favorite is.
Well, he is
So,
the chair. We could, you could have stepped up.
just to, not to expedite, but just to go through, we have, I can read through this, or basically, bottom line is, we don't trigger any reason to get a special permit, site plan review, not special permit, site plan review for our parking through this board. And we should be able to get his special permit through the ZBA for a drive-through shop on this property without having to do a site plan review for parking, because it already exists, and we didn't trigger any of the requirements that would qualify us to have to give you a site plan review. And that's, and in my letter shows your rule and how we don't trigger your rule. So, if you want, I can read.
Parking spaces you're referring to are here in the front?
There in the front, and then some in the back.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need, I'll just go right to that part. The construction, rehabilitation, or change of use of a building involving 15 or more parking spaces. Section 5.2B requires 1 space per bedroom for a motel and 1 space for every 40 square feet of gross floor area for a fast food drive-in establishment. This existing motel consists of 47 rooms requiring 47 parking spaces. The proposed drive-through coffee shop has 425 square feet of floor area after excluding areas such as utility corridor, stairway, restroom, and building maintenance areas per section 5.2B1 of zoning bylaw. Taking the 1 space per 40 square feet of floor area calculation, and the drive-through coffee shop is required to have 11 parking spaces. This makes the total required parking spaces for the current proposal use of the property 58 spaces. The property currently has 66 spaces in front of the motel and an additional 7 spaces near the proposed coffee shop, with a total of 73 existing parking spaces located on the property, which is 15 spaces above the required for this proposal. There is no need for any additional parking spaces. So we have more than we need for this coffee shop. We're not changing them, therefore, we don't trigger the threshold for a site plan review.
One other comment I'd make is that we have, well, there's no construction except for the lateral 12 by 60 crossover. And when you're looking at the parcel, it's probably close to half an acre to an acre of paved space now with the 73 parking spaces. So we're not altering anything. The most we'll do is draw a line somewhere if we have to. We've already been before the traffic study,
Yeah.
and we've been tasked by that. And we had, when we submitted, we submitted it, he approved it, we submitted it to the ZBA. But the only reason we're here is because they called us 2 entities, a drive-through and a restaurant. So we only had,
remove the restaurant part?
yeah, we only had 8 seats, so.
They need something from this board saying that we don't trigger site plan review.
Without being too items.
That's it. That's all I gathered out of why I got involved, and so I went through the regs and said, Bob, you don't need site plan review with this proposal. So if we can get an email or a note or something to go to the ZBA that says, they don't trigger us, continue your process through them.
We did
That's
that.
all we're
The
looking
trigger
for.
is George. We never say if you trigger it or not, you know?
No,
Well, then they were saying that you need a special
Well,
permit.
what happened was when you
I mean, site
called
plan.
it 2 entities or 2 different businesses, then they used the 2 different businesses for parking requirements. And then they added them up, instead of saying it's gonna be 1 type of business, 1 requirement. Well, you wouldn't hit it with any of them, either one of them, but when you add them together, then you could
Then
say.
you're over 15.
We were over, yeah,
So
we
if
were maybe
what they're
4
saying
short.
is true, what is our job for them? Anything?
We can say what we think, the decision comes from George.
And the
Items
special
that,
permit comes from you, yeah.
well, no, the items that you, the only question I have with your discussion there was, you calculated things based on a square footage of the drive-through, you said?
Mm-hmm, the
Taking
building.
out a whole bunch of different areas, the service areas, this.
Yeah.
How much is the total area of the drive-through?
400, I think it is, 400 and something, so.
425 square feet.
Not without, not subtracting those areas, what is the total area
Of the building itself,
For the whole, the entire building?
of the entire building?
of the where
Front
the
coffee shop,
drive-through?
that's 29 by 28.
The drive-through, not
Well,
the
the original
hotel.
building was 28 by 28.
So
And
that's,
we added a 11 by 10 addition on the side of it along the way somewhere. And, do the math on it.
What were those numbers again? Oh, exactly.
28 by 28, 11 by 11.
So it's
110.
30 by 30 and 10 by 10, just because I can't put the other math.
784 plus what?
Well, the entire gross area will exceed.
So it's
if you did that.
1,000 square feet, and then
Okay,
you gotta divide that by 40,
yeah,
and what does that turn out to?
That'd be 25.
25, so 25
But that's
parking
still,
spaces are what are.
Benny,
what's
you're
required.
adding up the entire space. We
Yes,
exclude,
because
we
it says in the
exclude.
bylaw,
no, it says in the bylaw,
it says gross square feet, doesn't it?
no, it says we can extract utility, corridor, stairway, restrooms, building maintenance areas per section 5.2B1. This is exactly what we did at Gerardo's
That's good.
Bakery.
I will look at it.
Exactly like we did at Gerardo's Bakery, which I was the engineer for that property.
Are you an engineer?
And we, what's that?
Are you an engineer?
My company has,
Are you an engineer? You just
I am
said
an
you were.
engineer, but I'm not a licensed engineer. Vinny, how's that?
That's what I-
Okay, is that
that's what I
better?
wanted to hear.
I'm an engineer, but I'm not licensed in
You're
Massachusetts.
not licensed, right? You're not
Correct,
licensed.
correct.
What licenses do you?
But I own, do you have a driver's license and a license to carry?
That's-
How's that?
Okay, that's what I figured.
Okay, so, I own this company, I hire consultants. I
Okay,
have surveyors, engineers, environmentalists, whatever you want. So, we have all these people that we put this stuff together. This is exactly how we put Gerardo's Bakery together and use the same exact ratios.
if it's true, I'm just
And
trying
it
to look it
works,
up in
so.
the bylaw.
Okay.
If it-
Can I ask a
if it
question
says
while
it.
you guys are messing around with that? Is the blue in this drawing, is that an accurate,
I believe so.
depiction of how the traffic would kind of flow?
That's out of the traffic study done.
What's that?
That's out of-
So, I have a question, if you're super good with the coffee and all of these cars are in line, how are these people gonna get out? If they're parked?
That's not part of our parking plus, this is additional parking. We have 75 parking spaces. I could bring
I
this.
mean, I understand what your business concept says, you don't need to park, cause you can't come
But I
in,
could
right?
go to 80 parking spaces.
There's no one gonna be parking to go in here.
You only need 47 for the
So-
hotel, and another 12 for this one, that's
So,
59.
and honestly, to answer that,
So,
I
okay,
was coming-
let's hypothetically say, I agree with you, if nobody's parking to go in, who cares? But, that's them, that's just for my own knowledge here. So if you're in, let's say you're in the Mill Restaurant, and you've got an afternoon full of cars here, and somebody wants to come around here, how do you get out? You're
This way over
you're
here.
blocking traffic.
No,
Right, but
no,
let's say you wanna go out
there's
this
a
way.
light over here.
What if there's an accident over here? There's no exit availability if it's full.
You get by that.
I'm just
So
asking,
that's-
because
that's
we
not-
all know the DQ problem,
It's
right?
all-
you
It's-
want them to
it's
go
a-
through-
It's a disaster.
I gotta tell you, everybody like that DQ business, and that place backs them up, whatever they do.
I don't know why they don't get faster. If they were just faster, they'd get people to.
It was poorly designed.
My
the thing is,
section.
that's not before us.
I understand that, but the situation may be before us
That's not-
if the cars are
No,
backed up.
We are for the site plan review. So we are not worried about the traffic and how they are, that's different area.
One.
And so in the
Why ask what
in the
we have to do?
bylaw,
But that was also drawn by a professional.
can we stay focused on this?
Yeah.
We'll get to that if you get a site plan review.
Yes.
If you don't have to do
Now-
site plan review, you can do whatever you want. Right now, it's George's decision. The way I read the bylaws, it says 40 square feet gross floor area, which means the whole building. George is gonna make the decision on it. So that's my direction to George, and if he can get whatever the building gross floor area is, divide by 40, then if it's 15 or more, then you need a site plan review.
What's the bylaw say?
So, this is where it gets, it says note, 1, then it's note. Utility, energy corridor, stairway, restrooms, building maintenance areas are exempt from space assignment. And then it has A, B, C, D, E, F. So that goes through all of those. You're reading it that gross area.
I'm reading what it says in the bylaw for.
I'm reading it too. We're reading it the same.
I'm just reading what it says for a restaurant. It says gross floor area. So that's
But
all I'm
read the
reading.
whole law, not just the part that pertains to what you want it to
I
fit.
don't care which way it
Yes,
goes.
you do.
No, it doesn't
You
matter.
always
I-
have. Yes,
I actually
you
would
do.
prefer that you
Glad
not
this
come
is an
before me.
informal discussion.
So,
What I'd like to see is what George would interpret this as.
okay, I'd like to see how you jump, how you,
I'll
okay.
read the documents
Hold
I have.
Okay,
I didn't hear
You
him.
can read the documents with me and I can look them over and I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so,
what I can do. I just
Yep.
don't know what you have there.
Right.
submit to building inspector.
Can I ask another question regarding the design?
Yes.
There is, according to this plan, I see the delivery and loading area is in the back. Isn't that the same place you have the drive-through? Am I missing something here?
What am I looking at?
I don't know which one, we gotta make sure we got this.
But what are you looking at over here that's interrupting with it?
The drive-through, well, look at this one.
Yeah, it's over here.
Where?
The drive-through
It's over here.
Right,
is right here, that's the drive-through.
right, so where's the delivery and loading area?
It's over here, isn't it?
I'm asking you. It says it's right here. This is the octangle of the building, right?
Putting a number on it, but I need to go see here. And if it is-
I'm just asking, it's just, I don't
We're gonna go through the door.
situations.
I can certainly move it. So, you know,
I'm just
trying to
asking the
get-
question, because I didn't understand it based on that plan, that's all.
Well, we're trying to get from here to the ZBA.
okay.
For them to go through that.
And
That's,
then ZBA will go through this with us on foot.
I think, we have the information, and also, George is the one,
Sure.
if you could submit all the documents to George. George, you will let us know?
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll send you guys an email.
Joey, that'll give them, calculations.
yeah, I'll give
Yeah,
them
so
everything
I'll
we
see the
need.
calculations, your drawing.
So, send us
And a drawing
the,
that has the-
send
I'm
us,
sorry.
send the planning board, whether this requires a site plan or not, based on the information you are getting it from.
And you want my opinion whether it needs a site plan, okay? On those drawings, I want to see.
As a chemical
And those drawings can have
Yep,
no
Agree.
seats.
So,
yes.
Totally.
Yeah,
So
I'll
I
give
want
you
all,
that.
I want it as.
I'm just very sure your building, it just has a drive-through
Yeah,
and the parking that exists.
okay.
And that's
Okay.
all we're looking to do.
in either way, gentlemen, no matter what happens, we're not touching the pavement. So everything that's existing will stay as is. And if we had to go to 25 parking spaces, we can. Our problem is the details of the site plan, which we really have nothing to do there. It's existing. And I
You
checked.
might have to put some signs and lines and stuff like that so that people
We
know how
have
to go.
lines, yes. We
Signs and that, but ZBA will deal with.
Yeah, we read all that, but I mean, for the actual construction,
Because the only reason with the site plan is to avoid a long process.
One question, Raj, just, the canopy that you have going into the hotel, I haven't seen the drawings yet. Is that gonna stay there, or are you removing that?
what?
The canopy that connects
Canopy.
It's
to,
staying there.
That's staying there. So
That has to
your
stay.
plan is to go
under it,
Under it,
under it?
and then on the other side of it.
and make a 90-degree and come to the window.
I wanna see,
Give me that
give me
paper.
some plans on that, so I know how far those posts are,
Give me that
how
paper,
they
we're just looking at it.
pass and so forth.
Yeah. It covers. Okay.
All right.
I'll show you all that.
Thank you, please submit the document to George and then we'll see.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. What do we have?
Yeah. That's the traffic study, which has the
Oh, I don't, see, I never got any of that stuff.
This is, they would exit going underneath there.
That's up to the ZBA. Mark?
Was this right here.
Yeah, that's up to
And that this is all closed up, they can't actually exit to
Well,
the
that's
lake.
not anymore, they put the cable.
Good luck with that one.
Cable gone.
I hope they don't need a site plan review.
I hope not either.
One of these things.
Actually, it's not gonna be that high.
We have
It's
some,
just,
Okay.
big problem.
Is that canopy high enough for cars to go in?
there's also, there's a lot of questions.
There are a
about-
lot of questions, unanswered questions.
Yeah, but that's not us.
That's not us.
Yeah.
And also, you know, they have to get through another board.
Yeah.
Good night, all.
Okay, thank you.
Just looking at Google Earth, the integrity of that whole structure looks in question, but who am I to say that?
Oh, I
It's
love
Howard
that.
Johnson's.
I know.
I know, it's a great structure.
When you are still on the camera.
That's okay. I'm gonna take off, guys, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we're gonna send that stuff for the street acceptance stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what's the, you're gonna send it to me and they're gonna need it like the next day, right?
Yes, that's what I mean, if you're ready.
Do
We
you
can.
wanna send what we have
He
right
says
now?
he's already got it, and he submitted it electronically to us.
It's not ready.
We can
it's not
send
ready.
what we got.
It's close.
It wasn't ready 6 months ago, or 8 months ago, or
How
a
much
year
is in his
ago.
account?
No, but the last time we looked at the whole,
Oh, right now,
the
nothing.
whole packet,
Then don't
and they
send it.
said, here it is.
Well, then again,
And we
that
went
was,
through the
we got
checklist,
some
and there was
new.
like 5 items out of 20 that were
Jack
checked.
New has nothing.
Right.
Okay,
I'll have to look at it again.
thank you and good night.
You guys have a good one.
Drive safe.
We have two more items before we say good night.
All right.
We have zoning bylaw codification questions for review.
Is that this big packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
The fine print.
So what it is, you know, I can give you a little overview on that.
Please.
So we did get as fundings from the ARPA, American, whatever the, American Recovery,
Free money from the federal.
free money from the federal government during the COVID time.
Okay.
So our zoning bylaws, you know, different times, so we update. So one of the agencies, you know, we funded, a town clerk came in and then she requested a fundings from the select board. The select board funded that, for this to take a look at an outside vendor, all the zoning bylaws, Best Boylston zoning bylaws. And if there are any duplicates, or if there is any corrections, or if there is any changes, they are not changing the bylaws, they are looking at the flow of the bylaws.
Okay.
And is there is one definition of one of those things in here, and another place it's a different definitions. So that's what they looked at it.
Okay.
And they came up with 120 or something questions. So in this
By going
package,
through our town bylaws.
just a town bylaws. If you go to the town websites, you can download, you can get the town bylaw, the zoning bylaws. Where is it? I had it on here. Yeah, here.
I mean,
No, you can
all
keep
those
it.
I got
documents,
it.
they only have
Got what I need.
80
So I need to look into the ends of these.
Okay.
So if you know the zoning bylaws, you don't have to look at it. If you don't know the zoning bylaws, yes, you do need to look at this. And then, you know, say for an example, you know, instead of select board, it says select man. You need to change it.
Those are
One of
easy
those
changes.
things.
Okay.
Easy one.
Now, Raj, yours says 2021. There's been updates
is-
since then, right?
this is
Is the
the-
updates online?
This I downloaded it this afternoon.
Made copies and I've
Oh.
seen them.
No, this I uploaded it, they downloaded it this morning.
So these
afternoon.
aren't,
These are our current. So when you go see this here,
so just the
So-
front's not current.
so this is when you go to the zoning bylaws, when you go see this red marks,
Yeah.
this is what, this amended May 20th, 2002, Article 35 of that town meeting.
Right.
So there is an amendment here.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, there is very different places. This one is 2006 amendment. So like that, there are so many amendments.
But
are there.
the new amended version is here, or you have to go find the new amended version?
This is the amended, this is the latest zoning,
Yeah,
town.
So this is
zoning.
all complete?
All complete.
Okay.
So they are,
Almost.
yeah, almost.
Because
If you-
we had a town meeting in May, we had changes to the zoning,
Yeah, few
And
of
then
those.
those changes have not been incorporated into that, but that's
Okay,
only like
that's kind of what I
2 or
was
3 things,
asking
so
about,
that's all.
'cause
So-
that says 2021.
Yeah, so if you want, you can have it. So all we are looking for is, you can, go over these bylaws, and then you can write your comments here.
When you say you mean us.
You,
No,
you
Why me?
individually. We all will be
Was that
doing.
is it a rookie?
No, it's
It's like hazing.
it's an opportunity for you to read the zoning bylaw too.
It's a way to force you to read the zoning bylaws.
Yeah, and also we'll be
Well, I
doing,
have to do this and submit this to you.
we'll discuss
We'll
it.
talk
No,
about those.
scratch on it and say 42 pages of this are just text and editing changes. Item on page 72 is.
No, it's there. You can
Right.
write it on the spot.
Yeah, you can write on here, but
So-
on this area here, you just tell us when you come to the next meeting. We look at it and say, okay, this one, they wanna change the wording to make it say that
Yeah.
only,
Vinny can't not do it. He
only
loves this
5
stuff.
people
Right.
can make these decisions as
These are all
opposed to.
there,
But like this is what they did.
Select board.
So they
85
know, like,
people
they
in
made
town.
question
We're like,
305,
no, we don't wanna
038.
do that, but
Which
Any
is
So I need to look at
zoning bylaw,
Sheet, channel 19
use
bylaw.
regulations, adult use marijuana
channel
establishments.
19.
This is the section that it's in.
Chapter
Yeah.
19.
Chapter
Signage,
19.
all
Chapter
signage
19
shall
is the
comply with
state
the
law.
requirements of
So I gotta
whatever
look at that
CMR,
and answer this question.
305 something, so West Boylston zoning bylaws, that's what it says right now.
I don't know what the
And they
questions are.
say,
But I think most all of them are,
It's based
Yeah,
on
visual
the,
impact,
it's based on the
marijuana
state
plants,
bylaw, but
products
it's
and
also in
paraphernalia shall not-
our bylaws.
I'm not sure why they wrote so much.
You know,
Well, you know, give
my
us a
eyes
call
are gonna
when
be
you-
so glazed over that I don't wanna be able.
No, you put this on the back of the toilet, and every time you go in,
I play Candy Crush there.
Okay. So just go over it and then see. and then-
so they make the change. So I was just showing them example, like, they do all the work, and it says, in section 305 something, 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 we will change 935 CMR 500 to 935 CMR 500.00, because we didn't notate the right section
I
or
see,
something.
okay,
So some of the stuff, they've done the work for you,
okay,
you know?
yeah.
Just go over it and then, if you have questions, we
Give
can.
me your packet.
You need the package? Sure.
Yeah, I'm not printing off all those pages, are you kidding me?
Okay,
Wait, you don't
Front
have,
and back?
you don't have it memorized?
Not yet.
okay. Any questions on this? Just go over it and then we can, if you have questions. ask
By
us.
Christmas? Yep, no
No,
problem.
this need to be September.
Actually, this needs to be on the same schedule as that MBTA thing.
they wanna do it for the fall town meeting also, so.
So it's the same schedule as the MBTA.
When I saw the size of that, I didn't think it was very likely.
No,
but
this
Now that
is-
we have our crack staff on top of it, I think
No.
we're gonna make it.
No,
We should,
no. I got a
no,
lot,
but
more
whether we,
important things coming
okay,
up.
here is the thing, whether it goes on,
Go over his house, we're gonna do it together.
Tell you what my important
whether it
things
goes
are
to the
later.
town meeting or not, so they do need some kind of corrections, the agency.
Well, Vinny will be done by then anyways.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot. And then, let's, review the invoice for the payment. Only one review, one?
That one,
Call early.
there's another one,
Okay.
just sign both of them, and I will just wait for payment.
Okay, you sign it. Anyone can sign it, I guess.
Yep. And then, he else sent in his money, and then obviously told the other one sent his, I told earlier today anyway.
No, that's for me, because I'm the clerk and I have to write the town report.
It's all together, there's 3 of them now.
You put it there, throw that away.
There's
Okay.
3, no, that, whenever I've
Just
written
one,
down the.
one signature, right?
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
don't
just
want to
saying,
have
That's
that-
two sections.
Reservoir Garage wants to
One
do
and two.
some changes.
Oh, and there was
There
some
was some
sort
discussion,
of,
but I know
yeah.
why it's in this packet.
Oh.
Why do we have the Reservoir Garage info?
What
I don't
reservoir?
know, just was paying for information, that's all.
Oh, okay, but it wasn't on
It's
the
not
agenda.
on the agenda
No.
to do.
No, no, no.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So we took care of the invoices. And the next planning board meeting is September 13, 2023 at 7 PM. It'll be here.
That you're gonna need to
In
be
this room.
7:05.
Tell them if I would be done.
Is there any other thing anyone wants to discuss?
Sorry.
You got your little gavel there, found it.
Yeah, Mark, pay attention.
No, we just need a new chair that'll let me be distracted.
You're always distracted. So you let me know.
Okay, stop.
Hey,
Okay,
Melanie put us next to each other.
Is
What
there
do
a-
you want me to say?
is there a,
Celebrate you two next time.
I'll
okay,
go next to Frank.
No, I know what
is
we're
there a
doing.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
Who said it?
Yes.
No, I second it, I don't know who said it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll do first.
Okay.
Second. Still second, okay.
It's okay. All in favor? It's not debatable.
Aye.